majesty of your psychic intellect and made you my puppet.
It's a bullseye! And here's your host, Jim Boyd!
Sorry if I scared you. You'll like this bit.
I completely confused myself. It's not hard, ladies and gentlemen. It is not hard. I got clever. You see, I got clever, and I put my image on the screen as I run the intro thing, right? And that means when it starts, boom, it just comes through. But I only found out I could do that about a week or so ago. And so I put myself on, right, and I ran the intro thing. And then when the intro's in, I just out reflex. I clicked it, which actually took me off the screen. Well, there you go. This is a little bit of background information. Good evening, guys. Good morning. How are you? I hope you're all doing well wherever you are. I just got an update report from my my other kid. We got a phone call last night. Must be at 10:30, 11:30. That my younger kid was going back into Gaza, but my older kid he's off for my younger kid brought me back some things from Gaza. I got a shrapnel from an anti-tank missile that they fired at him. I'll bring it in next time to show you. But he's got a real Palestinian flag. like he said, I think we're gonna want something to remember this by, right? We got that. This idea, which I find really quite disturbing, and so does he, right? This is a map of Israel, all in Arabic. It's like after we get rid of the Jew, this is ours, right? So I think that's what it says in Arabic. I wouldn't really but here's the thing I'm most excited about, which I'm actually I might frame. He got me this thing, right? This thing. Now this, I was upside down. Sorry. This is a thing that the IDF, the army, drops on civilian areas, saying, "Oh, we're about to bomb there because you got a bunch of fucking terrorists living with you." You know, those people who keep walking in and out with rocket launchers, wearing the kafirs, like wrapped around there. Them, right? That you all knew about. Them, right? So we're going to blow them up. Could you get out of the way, please? And and for doing that, we get in trouble for ethnic cleansing. Oh, how dare you ethnically cleanse the Palestinian from around the terrorists? And if we didn't do that, we'll get in trouble for slaughter. It's like, oh man, these people are just such scum. I don't think these people. What's worse, the Owen Jones of the world or the Hamasses of the world? I think they kind of go hand in hand with each other, right? They're equally awful. Right, they're equally. Man, I heard. What's the name? I like this guy. A YouTube channel. Hang on. I'll go to YouTube and look at my history. Oh, I'm cold. Right, I'm freaking cold. I'm not enjoying being cold. 1 second. History. Where is it? This is the whole video. Where is it? Constantine Kissin, right? He went to a pro-Palestine protest, and the thing that overwhelmingly amazes me with the people he spoke to was how insanely ignorant they are, right? How insane, and they know they're insanely ignorant, right? So he said, "Well, look, you hold this placard saying, from the rivers to the sea, Palestine should be free. Oh, will be free. What does that mean?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't really know. They just gave it to me." Right? Where do all these placards come from? Who's financing this? There's a lot of money going into putting these together. Where's that money coming from? I would say nowhere good. Right? I would say nowhere good. And wherever that money's going from, probably not a good place. That being said, apparently there's a couple of high up Iranian officials in the Revolutionary Guard that were in Syria that mysteriously died from a drone attack. We just got a new update. IDF says soldier taken captive. Oh, I think that was my son's friend. Oh, that's bad. Soldier taken captive on October 7th was killed then, right? And he was saying that's really what he hoped for. I think this was the kid that he did training with. He's younger than my son. 19. Oh man, I mean, look, yeah, the only thing you can hope for is they die quickly. It's just, yeah, man, that's really awful. I'm sorry to hear that. Anyway, yeah, all news. When you hear say no news is good news, it really does have have to be true. Anyway, so that's my the smalls and more. My younger son has just got me after on his last little tour of Gaza. Now he's back in. They say they killed about 25% of Hamas. I'm like, well, okay, it seems fine. I'm no problem, right? I just keep going. And apparently, the biggest problem, the biggest obstacle, is finding them. Fucking little cowards! Oh my god, that's what one thing my son's tank does. It's good at locating. Somehow he can't tell me how. And I would if he started to tell me, I'll tell him to stop because I'll play. No, he's very good at keeping his mouth shut. Like, he knew all about. He saw them like setting up flooding the tunnels like a month or so before anybody knew, and he just had to keep his mouth shut. He was like, "Oh, don't worry, we're working something out. We're working something out, baby." Eek of the Rabbi's gone short. That was last night, baby. Last night. I say it's Friday. Oh, feel so much better for it. Yeah. How to lose 3 kilo really easily. Don't have a haircut, then have a haircut. Fan freaking tastic. Anyway, we have much to get to though. What's on the thumbnail? Let's have a look at the thumbnail. Oh, I think I'll be joined by one, maybe 2 guests. I don't know, but at least one. While we reminisce about Remembrance of the Daleks. Oh my god, just finished watching it again today. And it's a story I know, like, by heart. And it's it doesn't disappoint, right? It doesn't disappoint. And we're still reeling from the Millie Gibson news, right? Honestly. Did she jump or was she pushed? The vibe I'm getting is fired. Right, I'm getting the vibe they fired her. In fact, I think this thumbnail may actually be a what actually went down. Right, what actually went down when Disney told the news center, this is a new companion. She's fantastic. Everybody loves her. I mean, she really was. She was great. I think she was the strongest element of Church on Ruby Road, and that's not just because she's insanely gorgeous, right? Even though they basically dressed her in a burqa, right? That's not because she's just, but she was actually the most interesting character on screen. And maybe because she's insanely gorgeous. I don't know. I liked her though, right? And it just seems like, oh boy, it's another thing to shoot yourself in the foot with. Because look, I've seen the next one. It's like, oh god, another dour non-white person, and it just feels like they're making a point, right? It's like, oh, you don't like seeing white people? No, I don't like seeing tokenism, which is what it is, right? It was what it is. Oh, Russell, mate, why did you screw this up so badly? Right, I wish you had the brains to sit this one out, but apparently not. So, anyway, we're going to talk about that. Avengers 2024, we really want to get to, and there's a bunch of other stuff, right? Bunch of other stuff. But we will be getting. I think we'll start with a bit of Remembrance of Remembrance, right? I think that's where we'll kick off from. Before we get there, hey, one second. I got to send a message. 1 second. Doing trouble. Okay. Oh man, it's so hard to type without saying it out loud. That's better. Man. Oh, that was really tough. She cried, like really, really, really tough. There's a few bits and bobs I wouldn't mind looking at. The Trumpster, right? The Trumpster, he's making them all crazy. He's making them all insane. Once again, I just think Donald Trump is inevitable. I think there's the amount of support he has. It makes it impossible to cheat him out of victory, right? And oh God, I saw Talk TV today. They have head of the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, Friends of the Republican Party in the UK or something. And he clearly hates Donald Trump and was looking for every way to diss him while being supportive of him at the same time. It was like, oh God, it was just, I wanted to strangle this guy, right? And he was like saying, well, it's because he's got a very weak opponent in no, you moron. It's because people had money and were, and there was world peace and the life was better. Life was shitty because you had all the weirdos screaming all the time, but it was better than it is now, which is just awful. Right. At the same time, by the way, there is hope for Doctor Who, at least season 3, because the Nelson Peltz takeover bid goes apace, right? It's Nelson Peltz and Ike Perlmutter, who's Israeli. Oh, if only I could get through to them. Mike, make me oversee Doctor Who, okay? I'll get it back into shape. Right, get Millie Gibson back, will you, Russell? And Yasmin Finney, yeah, not so much. In fact, let's cut out all the chicks with dicks from now on, right? Let's just cut them out. And I think, we'll just call this a hard reboot. We'll put the 6th anniversary into its own like bubble universe, right? So along with the Jodie stuff. Doctor Who really stopped at Capaldi. Although again, I can't believe I worked it out last night what they should have done it when they got to the end of 13 Regenerations, which essentially Capaldi. I mean, okay, how many Doctors were there? Just let me, because I'm confused now. Well, you have Hartnell, you have Troughton, you have Pertwee. Easy peasy so far. Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, no problem. Paul McGann, yes, we got that. Then we have John Hurt. Okay, now it's getting confusing. Christopher Eccleston, and then it's up to 10. David Tennant, Matt Smith, and Peter Capaldi. I'm going to call that. I know they say David Tennant counts twice, right? But I'm going to say David Tennant. 13. They're basically 13 Doctors. I think when you get to the end of 13. Reality should have crashed and inverted. The Doctor should have sacrificed himself to. I guess was in agreement. Then he vanished. Should have sacrificed himself to reboot the universe. And he said, "But I won't know anything. I won't know. I won't have memories. I won't know who I am. I'll be lost in a new universe with only a TARDIS, right?" And that will be your starting point. Where he finds how he discovers who he is now, and everything could be different because it's a new universe, right? It's a new universe. And that way you could have just like rebuilt it, right? But the trouble is they look too back. They spend too much time looking backwards by saying they're looking forward, and they're just not, right? They are just not. Anyway. Let's get to chat. What is that early thing? Oh no, wait, I was looking at stuff. So yeah, the Trumps was inevitable. So there's this little bit of genius from Joy Reid, which I just thought was the funniest thing ever. Who was it? Her talking about it.
I feel like.
Because Trump got a 51% victory in Iowa, which is shit, like 30 points more than anybody's ever got ever.
But I feel like the important sort of data point, and Steve talks about it a lot. He's going to probably talk about it a little more tonight. Is that these are white Christians? That this is a state that is overrepresented by white Christians that are going to participate in these caucuses, yes. Especially tonight.
These are the most racist people in the whole freaking world. I unhinged racist. What's wrong with them being Christians? What's wrong with them being white? Right? And isn't that the majority of your country? I'm sorry to point this out, but I think it is.
Earlier today, reached out to Robbie Jones, from the Public Religion Research Institute, knowing that we were going to talk about Iowa. And this is a hyper-evangelical white state.
By the way, they're talking a lot about getting religion out of schools in England. is this the way to get like jihadist religion out of our schools or get rid of Christianity? Two very different things. Because I don't know how the Jewish schools, I mean, like Jewish schools are already disgusted that they have to teach the gay shit, right? And I think they found a way of saying, yeah, we say God vomits in his own mouth when he sees this, right? You know, we see the chicks with dicks in Doctor Who saving the world. You know, why? Because God's probably like the rest of us, right? God probably doesn't like that shit either. He's like, really, you're not a chick. You got a dick. No, don't you? That's God saying it, not me, mate. So don't get upset. Right, I don't speak for God. I just, just point out what he said. Anyway, I digress. It seems like this thing can be very misused in both directions. Anyway, Joy Reid being super racist.
And he said the following to me. Iowa is about 61% white Christian. The country as a whole is approximately 41% white Christian. And in Iowa, we're talking about evangelical white Christians. And he said the following. Because I asked him, what do they get out of supporting Donald Trump? Because he...
Joy, darling, Joy, world peace and the best economy of our lives. Everything was better. Literally everything was better. Right? What do you get? A better life? And that's really just, what the science says at this point. Right, it did. What do you get? A better life, more opportunities, a happy life, a more secure life. That seems to be, a bit of an uptick for me.
Keeps losing. He keeps delivering losses and losses. And he said the following.
What?
They see themselves.
If Trump kept losing, kept delivering losses, you wouldn't be shitting yourself at the mention of his name. You wouldn't treat him like he's Voldemort if that's what you really felt. But for you people lying it, this is why the mainstream media is over, right? This is 100% why it's over and over forever, right? It's because you guys are just lying all the time, and you're addicted to lying. You can't stop lying, even though we all know you're lying.
As the rightful inheritors of this country, and Trump has promised to give it back to them.
No, in a way. What? Again, let's read that again. Let's say this racist bullshit again. This racist straw man bullshit.
As the rightful inheritors of
the
losses. And he said the following. They see themselves as the rightful inheritors of this country.
No. Not the rightful inheritors of the country, but the values that this country, America, and the Western world were based on being intrinsically good. And they want those values to continue. It's not that they say, no, we are completely evil and corrupt and we want it anyway. That's what you're projecting because that's what you want, Joy. Right? No, they're saying the values this country was founded on are very good values. Open to everybody, and we don't want to give them up. Right? That's what they're saying.
And Trump has promised to give it back to them. All the things that we think about electability, about, what are people gaming out?
And again, all you morons on MSNBC, which isn't a news network, right? It doesn't have a news card rating. It's so pathetic, right? And look at it, you've been wrong about everything. Oh, the electability is low. Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. None of that matters when you believe that God has given you this country, that it is yours, and that everyone who is not a white conservative Christian is a fraudulent American.
Does she believe this? She's completely insane. And again, that they have this unhinged racism. It's disgusting.
Is a less real American, then you don't care about electability. You care about what God has given.
Yeah, what? You care about God? Yeah, but again, this bizarre notion of who God is or what God wants, something about race, are you out of your mind? So then there's this clip with Joy Reid, which I found it fascinating. I'm going to tell you, I find her fascinating.
Booklooks.com. I'm aware of a website.
Oh, yeah. So this is her thinking she's got a got you. This is hilarious.
Site called booklooks.com where parents can go and see some of the books that other parents are concerned about.
Booklooks.com has been used in Florida extensively in counties like, I used to live in Broward County. I lived there for 14 years.
Okay.
In counties like Broward, counties like Clay, counties like Escambia, Moms for Liberty activists are using booklooks.com. And it's essentially a Cliff Notes for books.
Yeah.
So you go through without even having to read the book. I'm going to just hold it up so our audience can see what it looks like. This is the one for All Boys Aren't Blue, which is one of the books Moms for Liberty has pushed
Everyone
to have
should go and see the content in this book. That's such a good idea.
But did you just notice how this woman took control? Right? Freaking awesome, right? Absolutely freaking awesome. Right? Because you have Joy Reid spinning the narrative. And again, this is a masterclass in how to keep control.
Everyone should go and see the content in this book. That's such
because,
a
look,
which is one of
she's like saying, look, this book is totally innocent. Nothing to worry about here. And you have the woman here, with the Moms for Liberty co-founder, Tiffany Justice, like saying, loudly agreeing with her in a way that she doesn't want to be agreed with.
Of the books Moms for Liberty has
Everyone should go and see the content in this book. That's such a good idea.
And so what happens is you can do keyword searches and find certain keywords.
Okay, watch this again. Masterclass. I mean, it is because Joy Reid's a dummy, obviously.
Like rape.
You can find sure.
Or anal rape or dildo.
You can find all sorts
those types
of keywords.
of words. But like
yeah, well, you could. Oh, yeah, you could do that. But what's that mean?
Hold on, wait. Let me finish my question.
Okay,
then
great,
you can answer.
sure.
I'm going to give you time to answer, but I got to ask you first.
No, yeah, I got the question.
And so what you find is the keywords that you find, the N word, anything, words like you just used.
She wanted to use the N word, right? She really did. You can tell.
Then you'll get out of context passages from the book, and then based on that, Moms for Liberty members are going to places like Broward County School Board meetings, reading out of context
paragraphs and paragraphs
passages from these books, and then demanding that the school board remove them.
So what's
that is the way.
Yeah.
The question I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide?
And again, look, she's genuinely laughing. This woman is great. She knows exactly how to handle herself.
That a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't
do you really think Joy Reid thought she had a got you there? She thought she said, gotta get her.
Appropriate for students to read. What is your expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's anally raped by his adult family member. So you have incest, rape, pedophilia. Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so I'm going to answer for you.
Please do.
Yeah, I seriously tried to stop her. There we go.
In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? I mean, that's my question to you.
Fuck. Didn't go well. Did not go well. Fine. Okay, fine. I'll get to the chat in a few minutes. But first, I want to invite on a guest to help us peruse. I was going to say Revelation of the Daleks. Now I'm in the mood to watch that. Revelation of actually, I like the 80s Dalek stories in general. Okay, I think the 80s Dalek stories are. Well, yeah, what the 70s ones? You had Day of the Daleks, Death of the Daleks, Day of the Daleks, Death of the Daleks. What's the third Pertwee Dalek story? Planet of the Daleks, Genesis of the Daleks, and Destiny of the Daleks. Right, so you have those five up against Resurrection, Revelation. Revelation is weird. And Remembrance. I don't know. I think 80s Dalek stories are better, right? I think 80s Dalek stories are better. Of course, the 60s are still the pinnacle. But I had a choice of going for. I mean, I like Genesis, but right. And I like the special edition of Day of the Daleks. That's really good, right? That's really good. But I like myself a good 80s Daleks. So anyway, he was on a week or so ago. Somebody who looked at stuff and said, you know, I could review this myself. So young Sean said to himself, I will review it myself. And by Jiggery, a YouTube channel was created. Sean, thank you for joining us.
Nicely done. Good intro there.
Okay, good. You there?
Yeah, I think so. I'm going through.
Very good. How are you doing? How's your week been?
Good, yeah, can't complain. Apologies if you hear any noise because it's incredibly. There's like a storm, Aisha, something going.
Right.
I don't know why they name storms. I couldn't tell you, but yeah. So if you hear any background noise, That's
Yeah, I
what it
mean,
is.
like, look, giving them names is weird, right? I do tend to agree with you. Like when they just give them numbers or something or dates, wouldn't that make more sense? That would make more sense,
Honestly,
right?
there's an unwritten rule, right? That is just something that I've noticed. Like the more terrifying the storm, the weaker it is. So it's like storm death grip and a couple of wheelie bins get blown over.
Right.
But if
But when it's a bad one, it's like storm
yeah,
fluffy
it's like
one.
like Storm Terrence, and everyone goes, "Who knows a violent Terrence?"
Storm Terrence.
And then
Watch out for
it's like
Storm Terrence.
takes Ruse off. Yeah, no, thanks
Storm
for having me back.
Oh, my pleasure. Fine. So, what was it? We'll just put the thumbnail stuff so we can be talking about it today. Then I'll get to the chat. Then we'll get to Remembrance of the Daleks. Okay, that is the plan. But what would you take on this story? Millie Gibson going?
Yeah, really surprised because got the news really late. I stumbled across it. I knew you were busy yesterday, obviously.
It was leaked. They didn't.
Oh,
mean to
definitely.
release it.
No. Well, they didn't mean to. Like, that's the thing with this whole like this new era of Doctor Who. They've kept nothing secret. Like they had
and
to
they tried
like
keep everything secret at the same time.
Oh god, yeah.
But actually, you know what? You had the specials. We all expected the special to do something special, and they didn't. Right? They did like none of them. Well, like Matt Smith's gonna. Oh no, okay, fine. No. It just.
Yeah, they clearly all got the scripts and went. Yeah, we're not being in this shit. Like I'm not going in this. But to be fair to Millie Gibson, she's probably no. Well, exactly. She probably was in one series and thought, yeah, this isn't going to do my career any good.
Well, that's the question. Do you think she was fired or do you think she left?
I probably think they've decided it's not like she's not for them, but I don't know what that reason is. Because like it needed a couple of years to bed in. Like I wasn't impressed with the Christmas special. Really, I know you liked it. I thought it was more Doctor Who than the specials. The specials were dreadful, they were awful, forgettable fluff. But I thought give them a chance, give Shooty and Millie Gibson a chance to really do try and get some kind of Ninth Doctor and Rose. I mean, that's a bit pie in the sky thing.
Look, I get people not liking the special. It wasn't the greatest Doctor Who ever. I get people not liking it, but their chemistry was genuine. That really worked, right? This seems like dumb to shoot themselves in the foot, but that's this era. This era of Doctor Who is if they can shoot themselves in the foot, they will shoot themselves in the foot. Do you know the Avengers? I mean, like the Steed and Mrs. Peel Avengers, not the Marvel Avengers.
Oh no, it's a bit before my time.
Oh,
I know
man.
We
will do a bit of a deep dive into that probably. Man, the Avengers is something you should check out. Avengers and I saw they just re-released Blake 7 again. A new packaging. Although I'm holding out for them to do a DVD release with new effects. Let me ask you: are you on Classic Who? Are you a new effects person? Or are you a classic effects person?
I'd rather first off see them as they were shown. Like I don't mind that. But then I'm not totally against seeing like remastered stuff, but I don't want to see the remastered stuff first. Because like the problem with remastering things is like they're setting the time they get remastered, which I know sounds really stupid. But it's I hear what you're saying. It's like when they remastered Red Dwarf to like sell it to Japan and the Far East, and it worked.
Right, and now it looks more dated than the original.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly the point I'm making. So yeah, because they have these effects and like, oh my god, BBC can do these amazing effects now, and it's like 2005, and then you get to like 20 odd years later, and you go, oh, that looks a bit ropey.
It does.
But for me,
it really does. I mean, that being said, though, I remember when Ark in Space came out, which was one of the first ones with CGI on it, right? And I watched it with CGI, and I was like, "Oh, it didn't seem that different. It seemed pretty similar, right?" And then I watched it with the original effects, and my brain had filled in where the original effects are awful. And Ark in Space, they're awful. They're genuinely terrible, right? And my brain had just filled in better effects at the time. Because so like but the reality was like for me it just really pulled me out of the entertainment, right? Because it was like when I actually saw it, I was like, wow. But yeah, no, I hear it there. The first time I watch it is with the original effects. I saw you just got was it Dalek and Major Birth, right?
Yes, I've got. Oh God, what have I got here? Hang on, everything probably fall apart now. Yeah, there you go.
No, you don't forget. All I'm going to say is the new effects on that are excellent in that they feel like they were in a 1960s movie. Like they really feel in character, and it's actually it's better than the original effects, I think. But I'm sure you're gonna have fun with that. Fine, let me get to the chat. I am not quite as late as I thought it was. Very good. Let's have a look at it. Darren M is here. How you doing, Darren M? Thank you for joining us. Mr. Jacqueline Hyde is here. How you doing, Mr. Jacqueline? Lonnie asks, what's about Minnie being out after one season? Millie's out after one season. They got a new companion in. She was in Andor. Right, this is the same time they brought out a story saying, don't worry about the Disneyfication of Doctor Who. All right, I'm like, really? I think it's more the Disneyfication of Rusty Davis, right? And then in the article, he talks about how much he admires Pixar, right? Who are in the middle of firing all their staff because they can't make a movie that doesn't make everybody want to vomit in their own mouth. So. Most shit that it is. This is not this again. More PR disasters, and I'm sorry. I think I really will be amazed if this new companion can hold a candle to Millie Gibson, who I thought was very good, and also looked darn good on the thumbnails. By the way, here just before we go forward, I worked long and hard to get you a AI Millie Gibson, who I actually have to tell you. The real life Millie Gibson may be slightly hotter, right? That's quite impressive, Millie. So this is the one we used in the end. This is before I airbrushed out the little bit on an eyebrow, which is very helpful, right? Because that very much identifies her. We went through many different iterations. We have this one again. This is what technology is being used for now. This is why it's around. So I don't know. Like if she was looking at me at this, I probably would have gone with this one. But and I just think hot pink just seems like the right color, right? It just seems like the sort of color she would appreciate. You're welcome, Millie. You're welcome, darling. I look after you.
Well, did you not see her response, Rabbi? Did you see her response? I don't know if it was Instagram.
I'll find on Instagram, right?
Yeah, she posted like a photo of I think in front of a waterfall or something like that, and it's very classy. She's clearly thought. Yeah, okay, fine. Because you'd think if it was just the plan, she'd very much be like, oh, this was just the plan. I'd come in for a year. But they sold her and Shooty so much.
Right,
thought,
right.
Okay.
And then this happened
like, she's gone.
Right,
yeah.
I think it happened recently. I'm just looking up on it. She's on Instagram, right? Let's look on Instagram.
Apparently, yeah.
Millie Gibson. Let's see if we can find
it was like the response. It hit the news a couple of hours ago.
There we go. Millie Gibson fans. Is this Millie Gibson fans or Millie Gibson? I can't tell. Is this her? Yeah, I think this is it. She's in a waterfall, looking insanely hot. Yeah. Now I'm seeing the waterfall. No, I want to see Millie. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Rika? I don't know why I can't find it now. I'm trying. Here, 1 second. Let me share the screen. Trying to navigate through. Again, I'm such a boomer. This is one social media too many for me. I'm sorry. My little brain can't cope. Yeah, 1 second. Fine. So, in her Instagram. Right, that dress she wore that premiere was freaking awful, right? Absolutely awful. So I think this is it. But does she have a comment on these things or anything?
No idea.
Morning from Costa Rica. Monkeys. I mean, it looks like she's having a good time, but how do I get to the end of these things?
I don't know.
Here we go. I think
that's the one.
That's the one. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think she's really going to do better than Doctor Who. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Maybe it does a good. Maybe it does a good. I don't think it's going to harm her. Like look, anybody can look at Doctor Who, and whether people absolutely love it or absolutely hate it, I think what people can agree on firmly, well, if people can still agree, is that it's a bit of a mess. Like it seems such a mess.
It's a bit of a mess. It is a bit
compared
of a mess.
Compared to what she did,
I hope she gets like knew it was a much better opportunity. She's clearly a very she's super hot and can act. I mean, and has experience on TV. If she's not snapped up by somebody to do some great role, it'll just be weird, right? It'll just be
she
weird.
Could go back to Corey. She's doing very, very.
She'll go back to Corey in a second, but I like that about her that she quit Corey. I think that really impressed me about her. Right, she wanted to drive forward. I mean, maybe do theatre for a bit. I don't know.
I've got a question. I've got a question for you. I've got a question for you, Rabbi, because I was thinking about it. Right. So in the industry, so like people, the actors, the actresses, and all that lot. Do you think from the outside they think Doctor Who's still really good? So when the opportunity came along,
look. I know for a fact. Okay, I know for a fact that the BBC, let alone the actors, the BBC knew that Jodie Whittaker Doctor was tanking, and they were having a meltdown about it. They were apoplectic, right? And they were like, I can't say who this is, obviously, right? But there's somebody whose name you would recognize, right? Who said, Jodie Whittaker Doctor Who? We're talking about Chris Chibnall, right? Said, Chris Chibnall told me she had the greatest audition ever. I wish I could see it because it didn't translate to anything we saw on screen.
I'm sick of hearing that. It's what they said about Shooty as well, didn't they? Like, oh, he came in and one audition, that was it. And it's like,
at least Rusty Davis had some more believability, right? I was like,
he did. He did.
He worked, but. They knew it was doing very, very badly, right? They knew it was apocalyptic, right? They knew it was apocalyptic. It was very bad for Doctor Who. Yeah, they had no illusions of that whatsoever, and it genuinely inside the BBC. But nobody's going to admit to it. But Rusty Davis, everybody knew it was failed. Right, that's why they're freaking out now. Also, Disney's on a massive implosion. Like Disney is in the middle of a corporate takeover. There's this guy called Nelson Peltz and Ike Perlmutter, who used to own Marvel, who have bought up a ton of shares of Disney because the share price has tanked, and they're going to try and force themselves onto the board, and then they're going to take over the board. It's down to a shareholder vote. The shareholders aren't insane. They will vote these guys in, and it will be the end of woke Disney almost immediately. So season 3 of Doctor Who, if it happens, it will be significantly de-wokeified, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if there's not a new companion for season 3. By the way, did you hear this? That they're going to do one standalone episode to wrap up the Ruby Sunday arc.
I hadn't heard. I heard she wasn't in the Christmas one, but I mean, at that point, is anyone really going to care? Like, even if she's absolutely unbelievable, she's only in. Is it 8 episodes this series?
There's only 8. Well, she might be in a spin-off. Who knows? But like. That they have to do a standalone episode to wrap up a story. It's not woven into the greater.
So that makes it sound even more like it's.
Yeah.
Like things have really broken down. Yeah.
Again, she might have been a diva, or she might have been fired because she's just too white, right? And I really think that might be a serious issue. That she might just be too white, right? She's not diverse enough.
Who knows? Who knows what? Like, look at Eccleston at the time. Like at the time, everyone thought for years that it was like Eccleston, and I think the prevailing wind with Eccleston was a bit of a, was a bit awkward, a bit difficult. But then it turns out years later that actually he from what you can glean, I mean, he's definitely a lot more overt about it now. But he was very much talking about people not getting treated very well, and he had to look away from certain things, and he decided it just wasn't worth it. So shame.
I have to interrupt this broadcast for important information from Jonathan Cox. He found the water margin on Amazon Prime. That's awesome. Let me see if I get that in Israel. You know what the water margin is?
Margin or Martian?
No. The water margin. It was. Explain. You ever seen the show Monkey?
No.
No. Okay,
Well,
fine. These are here. 1 second. So, was it? I got an old new phone here. Let me get you the titles from Monkey. Right, it was a whole. Okay, you used to come home on Thursdays at 2:00, right? Thursdays at 6:00, I should say, on BBC Two, and they would always have either Monkey or Star Trek Next Generation or another. So this show Monkey it's insane, right? Absolutely insane. It was here. Okay, let me get the titles. I can't believe I'm speaking to somebody who hasn't seen this, right? It will blow your mind at how bonkers this is. Oh, here, 1 second. Download, save video as Monkey. So this is I believe it's a Chinese show dubbed very badly into English, right? And it's about the I'll show you. The title will show you what it's about. 1 second. Present, share screen, video file. There you go. Monkey. He, I think, sang that he was a musician and did the theme tune. But the basic the basic premise is you have a Buddhist monk called Tripitaka who has to go on a pilgrimage to the West to take scrolls from Buddha, and he's accompanied by Monkey as a protector, who he's forced to do it because he wears this like crown and she can say a certain prayer which makes it like crunch his head and it hurts him. And he's got a fighting staff that goes teeny tiny and puts in his ear. And he's got the two other demons. He's got Fish Demon Sandy, and the best character was Pigsy and Pig Demon. Oh, so anyway, the water margin was like that, but a bit more shit. And apparently it's on Amazon Prime. I'm very excited to hear it.
I feel like somebody's put something in my tea.
Exactly. Look, I'm saving you money, mate. I'm saving you money. You know, drugs are expensive. Fun though they are. Don't do drugs, kids. That's my advice. Give it to an irresponsible adult instead. The Solder Engines is here. Hey, the Solder Engines. Yes, I got rid of Icky Millie Gibson so I can bring Doomsday back. Oh, Icky Thump. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Rabbi got some more souvenirs to Solder Engines. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Not my fan says Millie Gibson must be a weeping angel. Blink and you miss it. Well, I'm certainly going to miss it. She was great for the thumbnails. Hollywood Apocalypse is here. So Millie has been fired. That's my guess. Again, there was some bullshit reason, but essentially she was too white. I have no inside information. That's just my guess. Dealing with the fact that I've been dealing with these racists for the last 5 years, and they've been pretty racist. She's going to struggle at work. I don't know how could that be possible, right? I don't know. I mean, look, she's hotter than this AI representation of her. We don't know. Mr. Jekyll and Hyde is here. Everybody been watching Netflix show Bodies. Oh, is that out? I wish you had done that series arc along. That's sorry. That's that big show they were doing on Netflix. I didn't know that was out yet. Well,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it right now. Netflix. Hang on. I'm watching. Just hope it doesn't. It's got The Kitchen. It's where?
Monkey was based on an ancient Chinese Buddhist classic called Journey to the West. Oh, cheers, Archie.
Oh, Journey to the West. Yeah. So Neil Gaiman did wrote a new treatment on it, and then never saw the light of day. One second, we look. Bodies. Is that out? Oh no. Is this the one? I can't remember. I don't want to play it.
Wait, can everybody? Oh, hang on. What happened there?
Well, I think we're still here.
Oh yeah, we're still here. Yeah, sorry, a connection thing there popped up.
Yeah. I'm just trying to make sure I don't play this Netflix show. Wait. It's been so long since I went to the. Wait a minute. If I go over here, maybe I can get some information about it.
I'll have a look if you want. I'll have a look.
No, I think this is it. I think that there was 2 shows. One that was really bad from a comic book, and I can't remember what that comic book was called. But I don't think it's this one. Dystopian cyber. Yeah. Okay, so what is it out? Good. I will definitely check that out. Right, I will definitely check that out. Thank you for who told me that. Matthew J. Yeah. I saw the trailer for that. It looked really interesting. Maybe we'll look at the trailer in a minute. Where are we up to? Colin Archer, the agent. Colin Archer, thank you for joining us. Millie was cast to remind us that also Billy Piper, even the nonsense even the names are practically the same. Yeah, they really are, aren't they? But Doctor Who Diversity Hire needs to have Diversity Hire companion. I don't think you're wrong, right? I don't think you're wrong, and I will need some kind of evidence to believe that you were wrong on that one. Hollywood Apocalypse said he spoke to a friend at Badwolf. She was fired. Okay, Disney and BBC are super unhappy with the ratings. Yes, they are. That I know to be true. And Disney want to push the chick from Andor. So she had to take responsibility. Fuck me. She was fired she took responsibility for the failure of the special. Fuck, well, you couldn't fire David Tennant or Catherine Tate, I guess, or Rusty Davis. Or Ncuti Gatwa, where they put all those eggs in that bar. It's got to be her. Yeah. Or Jane Tranter. Yeah, no, it was she did a lot of good without being given much. Fuck me. Yeah, and that's why they're reorganizing season 2. This is a shit show.
Did they not think? I mean, God, do they not think about these things? You don't set out to do a job or a project of something, and like that was one thing. Whether you loved RTD's original run or not, yeah, there was some easy get out clauses. It was a bit simplistic at times, but there was always an idea with it. You always felt like he had a very firm hand on the tiller. No pun intended.
Well, I mean, look, I think that's
this is Disney. I think.
I think it's more the the entertainment industry, right? I mean, one of the biggest problems DC movies have had for decades, right, with the Snyder stuff is them not having confidence in it and sticking the landing, right? With Marvel stuff worked because they had, other than being very comic book accurate, but at the beginning anyway, they had so much confidence in it. Right, and you could tell they didn't have confidence in the Snyderverse, and they didn't have confidence in what came before, and they didn't really have confidence in what came after. Right, yeah, and you can tell they don't really have confidence in this new Doctor Who. That it's failing, and the trouble is it's failing, but they don't want to admit why it's failing because it means to admit their entire worldview is fucked up, which they can't do. Anyway, what can you do? Capaldi must be funny because Matt had run out of regenerators. Look, my point of this about Capaldi being 13, 14, for me, it's a number of actors you see, in that thumbnail, right? 13 is the maximum. More than that is just silly, right? And we saw that as soon as you added Jodie and Dr. Ruth, and even though they were shit, the thumbnail
the fam.
Silly. What?
The fam. Oh God.
Oh, the fam. Oh,
so bad. It was. I watched the Flux for a review, Rabbi, and it is.
Oh yes, that's a good review. I like that review.
It was horrendous, absolutely awful. And the thing is,
here's the thing. I think it was the best things that I think their Flux and those specials were the best things that Chibnall era did, and they got better as they went along. And they're still shit, right? They're still unwatchable. Yeah. Shit. But by the time you got to Power of the Doctor, you had a good pastiche on Doctor Who to a normie who doesn't know what Doctor Who is. When they looked at it, they say, "Oh, that's kind of like Doctor Who," and they understood to keep Jodie off screen as much as possible. But yeah. So again, I think they just sort of completely rebooted and gone to like 0 Doctors, right, and have real mystery put back into it. He doesn't know what's going on either. Right, I think that will be build from it like with Hartnell. I think that would have worked better. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I don't know about you, Rabbi, but as soon as I read the Millie news, I messaged another podcaster on Twat, as you call it.
Yeah.
And I said, Doctor Who's like already dead. They're just fighting at the wake now. Like this is like turning up, and there's just chairs and food and just shit going everywhere. And it's like, what is going on? And do you know, just it's not hard to make a decent, like, I'm not asking for like the best. I'm not asking for like the best Doctor Who story ever. I'm just asking for like, just try.
Yeah, don't do shit. I mean, okay. Yeah, this month, Big Finish started their Sontarans versus Rutan series, and I was like, I don't know, but I gave it a punt, and I was amazed. They just told a fun Doctor Who story. That was it. They weren't trying to convince me I was a piece of shit because of my skin color.
They didn't, Rabbi. Don't tease me with a good time. Don't tease me with a good time.
They really did. Genuinely, it was just a normal. It was a Doctor. That's what it was, and it was delightful for it. Probably one of their best releases in years, right? Because it wasn't insane, right? It wasn't like hit me over the head. Is she sporting Trump's hairstyle? Which one are we talking about? Millie Gibson over here?
Oh no, he was talking. No, he's talking about the lady, the lady at the beginning.
Oh, Joy Reid.
Do you know what? I've never me, don't do the politicsy stuff, but I was confused. I thought the lady from the woman's thing was the newsreader. I didn't realize she was the one meant to be hosting it, so I got confused.
Yeah, no, it's insane. Hollywood says Fox News isn't news network with officially opinion network according to court filing. I believe you. I mean, all these news sites. So that's why I only do independent media. Land of the Geek says God is a straight white male. Well, kinda. I don't know. I think God's a bit more was it amorphous than that? But
come on, who messaged that? Whoever sent that comment in, come on, we're trying to decipher Doctor Who. Let's not throw God in so early in it. Let us have a go.
Listen, mate, I always are they anti-Smurf races in that book? Probably, because and also it's not wrong to be to be racist against Smurfs. Smurfs are scum, baby. Keep them at your society. Obviously not. They're 3 apples high and delightful. You know the Smurfs are, right?
Of course I know the Smurfs are, yeah.
Okay, fine. I don't know. Listen, I'm an old man.
Hey, yeah, it's okay. It's fine.
Move on.
Yeah.
Who are we up to? Jonathan Cox. I think I said hello to you. If God exists, sorry, Rabbi, he or she isn't with you, love. I think they are, frankly. But if everybody believes in God, thinks they are. What expertise do mums have? Oh yeah, talking about the Joy Reid clip. Logan 5 is here. Logan 5. There is no sanctuary. Logan 5. Have you ever seen the original Logan's Run with Michael York?
No.
That's not worth. That's worth seeing. It's.
I'm gonna have to make a list. Yeah,
listen. Look, I've been spending 50 years doing this shit, right? I watched most of this stuff by the time I was 12, so I
mean, I got a good start. My dad brought me up on the proper comedies. Back when the BBC could.
Back stuff, when they had comedies.
Step-Toe Son, one of the best comedies, one of the best TV shows ever made.
So if you want to blow an American's mind, right? Absolutely blow their mind.
Yeah.
Tell them that their TV show Sanford and Son was what they did. They bought the scripts from the BBC and remade it with different people.
Not as good either.
Yeah, it went on for. It probably went longer than Step-Toe Son. It went on for years and years and years. Also, they had Sickness and Health. That was All in the Family. There's a bunch of shows that they just bought the scripts from, which is really weird. They did it 40 Towers, but it didn't really work.
Well, they did two. They did one where Basil was a woman, and then they did like an actual woman, wasn't, but anyway. And then they did another one where there was no Basil. They did a Red Dwarf one. Did two.
I saw the Red Dwarf one. They're awful.
Oh, they're bad. Yeah, really bad.
Yeah. Okay. To do an American, first thing I would like to see an American Red Dwarf, as I would like to see an American Doctor Who, right? But to do a Red Dwarf, you need a comedic voice from that culture running it. So you need like a an American comedian to like headline it and be head writer. Something like Artie Lang.
I think.
Like
I mean, I think because I watched the documentaries, and I think they said someone like John Belushi would have been a good lister. But outside of it, I think the problem with trying to remake things, the only time it ever works from like I know like from like a British show to America, the only time it ever works is when they change it to be like American culture, so like The Office.
Exactly.
But The Office UK is still immeasurably better. But I suppose it's one of those things, isn't it? The problem with Doctor Who, as we're seeing them do, and with Red Dwarf, when they tried, the shows are so quintessentially British or English or whatever you want to say. When you try and make them American, it doesn't work because you're taking away a lot of what they are.
I think they could do. I was it Nerdrotic had the idea of Peter Dinklage being Doctor Who, right? I think that would really work. I think they could do it. It takes like skill, which not
Peter Dinklage can act. That's the thing that the guy can act.
Fine. Let me get back to the chat. I'm now like half hour behind where I was when I started. X-Men 577 is here, doing X-Men 577, and Disaster is here. Garbage is here. Remember the Daleks? I am here. Oh, we'll start with that. I like a bit of remembrance. Paul Tozen. I'm pretty sure I said hello. Well, say hello again. Why not? Ravenwolf. So Disney has gone diverse fully with who? Well, I don't think it's Disney. I think it's more Rusty Davies. It's like there's no. They all believe the same weird stuff, right? Millie Gibson was expected, no offense, but she wasn't diverse with Disney. I mean, they're saying that she was a diva behind the scenes and she didn't like the reshoots. I don't know. I think she was probably professional. Look, if she did Corrie, right, and she had this huge break in front of her, I think she would be happy to really do anything to make it work, frankly. Right? Deep Fat Fry of the Daleks. How about that for non-Dalek name for a Dalek episode? I wrote the first quarter of a short story called The Dalek Invasion of Christmas, which I might do this Christmas. I haven't decided yet, but that sounds we need a Dalek Invasion of Christmas. Chills of Pain, apparently. Well, again, that's the story put out, but I don't know. I think she was kicked out. Avon Lives, says Colin Archer. We're doing a Blake 7 stream in a couple of months. Oh, I love Blake 7. Do you watch much? Have you seen much Blake 7, Sean?
None of it.
None of it. Wow. Okay, if you like mid Tom Baker, Doctor Who, Blake 7 is for you. Right? If that's not your bag, man, not so much. And the special effects are terrible. There's a couple that have had fan effects put on, which are so much better, but the special effects are. But the acting is fan-freaking-tastic, and it's so dark. Oh my god! Okay, so the main character, it starts with the main character, this guy called Blake, essentially the Dirty Dozen in space, right? Main character, but they get rid of him 2 seasons in, and the main character who comes in number 2 is Avon, who is the most amoral hero ever. He's so incredibly dark. And the main villain is this slinky woman called Servalan. And there's a weird S&M relationship going on between her and or maybe I'm just projecting, but I'm pretty sure it was there, right? I was watching very, very closely. Jay Crow is here. Evening, all shame about Gibbo. She was the only one to think about the stump spot. She really was. I mean, again, I thought the little shooting was good with her. Camp Crash Course is here. Doing Camp Crash Course. And who else we got? Scott actually should he got the role because he blew Rusty Davies. I'm sorry, it means blew him away. Probably both, right? Probably both doing the same thing. Look, they are always all over each other in the publicity photos, RTD and Shooty. It looks very, suggestive to me, right? I don't know. Where are we up to? Bill Galactica. Bill Galactica. Water Margin is ace. Yeah, it's fantastic. Longchamp Paul. It's about a Chinese revolution in ancient, was it 15th century, I think, China was my guess. They had to get rid of her in case she overtakes the amazing longevity and credibility as well, of course, who is so stunning and so brave. Tzvi Lebetkin, we did a monkey stream a while ago on FSS. Look, I mean, can you see it? Yeah, 1 second. You can see just up there. There it is, monkey. Right, my box set of the entire monkey. both seasons. Right, there you go. Monkey! And the great thing Monkey would do, right? He had a cloud that he would fly around on, which was the worst special. Hold on a second. Now I've got to pull that up. Monkey TV show Flying Cloud. Where is it? I think this is it. 1 second. Yeah. Well, it's the name of the video is Monkey TV Show Flying Clouds. Well, he had several, right? He did have several over the period of a couple of seasons. Hang on. Download. Save video. And here we now download. Right, it save video as cloud. Video file. There you go.
My cloud! Right! Put it off! We'll do it! All right!
Okay, well, can we see the bloody cloud?
Look up! If it's magic you want!
Yeah, that was just wonderful. Fine. Who distracted me in Monkey's Cloud? Monkey Bee and Dragon turned into the Dragon turned into a horse. That was the second season. All 4 volumes. Yes, stuff that wasn't even released on TV in England. PD Richard here. It's because Millie doesn't have a willy. Yes, Millie. Millie should have had a willy. If Millie had a willy, things would be better for Millie. Worse for the Rabbi, but better for Millie. God, why does it? I didn't. Oh, you had a very good comment the other day on Rumble. I can't remember what it was. God Archers. Oh wait, the Ando was so popular. Oh, I know. It's like honestly, the dumb decision after dumb decision. Unbelievable. David Marlin is here. David Marlin, thank you for joining us. Hartnell's goes in. Hi, Rabbi. Have you seen? Did anyone see Pointless on BBC One on the 18th of January? The final question. What's the name of Jodie Whittaker of Doctor Who episode?
Yes, I did see it.
I heard nobody was able to do it. I did hear that.
I'd have got it with the woman who fell to earth, but I mean that's literally no one answered.
You know, with Doctor Who fans, that we know that. But who's saying that Logan's Run? Logan's Run. There was a Logan's Run TV show, not as good as the movie. By the way. Another great reason to see Logan's Run because you see a very young, prime, fit Jenny Agutter in the buff at some point, as I recall.
She's the nurse in An American Werewolf in London.
Yes, she is.
And the Railway Children she was in. There's no nudity in the Railway Children. I'm just saying it's the program she's been in.
Yeah, but it's no American Werewolf in London. There's some intense Jenny Agutter sex scenes, right? As I recall, wasn't there American Werewolf in London?
There's a shower scene. There is.
There was like a lengthy
because it's a beautiful night for a moon. It's a beautiful night for a moon dance because all the songs are to do with the moon. I think something like that. Anyway, very 80s. And then there's the bit with all the corpses in the old porn cinema in Piccadilly Circus, is it? Or
right.
It is. Yeah, there's all that.
I remember that when that used to be a porn cinema. That's the age I came from. Right, it's
you'd never know, Rabbi, with the thumbnails. It's very subtle.
Oh, really? Yeah, I know. Listen, I grew up in a strange time. I remember. I bet a bunch of people watching will remember. In the mid '80s, there was a chewing gum. These white little chewing gums, like squares, and they had like this white liquid in it. Everybody called them cum gums. Literally, everybody. The vicar, everybody called them cum gums. And they were very tasty. We all liked our cum gums. Let me tell you. Jenny Agutter also played the mother in the remake of The Railway Children. I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, she did.
Time! The Americans have tried to make a Dad's Army. Only one ever.
No, did they? Oh my God, that's filth. That is absolute filth.
Can't imagine that indeed going down well. Fine. Let us speak about what the reason we're here. A bit of Genesis. Remembrance of the Daleks. Right. Oh man. Okay. For me, this one. Watching it I want to give you the idea in real time. So we came off season 23, which was shit, right? And we on season 24, I should say, which was shit, which was marginally. It was basically marginal. In hindsight, it was a lot less shit than season 23, Trial of the Time Lord, and it was like you could see them trying to work out what they're doing, but at the time, it was just like, oh god, dire after dire after dire. And then all of a sudden. The Doctor and Ace turns up, and they're super hip, super cool, and just everything about this story comes together. Fantastic writing, fantastic casting, great acting, and fantastic direction. Just everything really just gels perfectly with this story. And on the season 22 Blu-ray, that's. Colin Baker's only full season. Michael Grade's on it, talking about how he cancelled Doctor Who because it was basically shit. He looked at it and he was embarrassed by it. I think if he watched and he didn't even know it continued after season 23. I think if he watched Genesis Remembrance of the Daleks, he probably would have put it on. He probably would have given it more money and put it on at a better give it a better shot. I think he would have been really impressed with it. So, what did you know about this going in?
I knew barely anything. I'm not going to lie and pretend and say I'm very much a new Who person just because of my age and the time it came along. The classic stuff, I've seen stuff here and there. I've got Genesis of Daleks. I've got the 10th Planet. I've got a few others. I've seen not Terror of the Autons, the ones where they turn up. I can't think of anyway. I've seen a few here and there.
The ones where they turn up where?
Oh, it's a Pertwee one. It's the where the Autons turn up.
But there's two. There's one where they have a circuit with. Is a master in it?
Don't think so.
No, but you have Terror of the Autons and Spirit from Space and Terror of the Autons.
Yeah, Spirit from Space. I saw, which does have the master in it. Yeah, so I've seen the odd stuff here and there.
No, Spirit from Space doesn't. That's Pertwee's first one.
That's the one I've seen. So that's what. Yeah.
Okay.
So like exactly as I've shown there, I'm not very up with the classic Who stuff.
No one's going to slap you around. It's totally
to be
cool.
fair, I feel so like this is like the perfect time to get into it because I was going to ask you this about watching this. Anyway, sorry, my thoughts. Yeah, I just came into this to watch it on its own. You gather that like you said, Ace is very of the time, which is great. Like I love the opening titles, and it's like, oh my god, I'm actually watching Doctor Who again. Like 7 years after the last time I felt like I watched an episode that even resembled it. It's like, oh, this is what Doctor Who's meant to be. And like, this is the effects, the wobbly Daleks, like none of that matters. Like, it's a good story.
It really didn't.
Because
such a strong script, right? It really, and such great characterization. And the direction, he did Time in the Rani, which again, reasonably shit. I mean, he did the best he could with that.
Well, he says that. He actually says that, doesn't he? In the
he says.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
But so that opening shot. By the way, the script is nowhere near as good as the finished story, right? In the script, it was like a red versus blue Daleks, I believe, and the special weapons Dalek was like a Masters of the Universe floating platform. So, like, the design work done really enhanced it in big time. But like, it starts off, we get this wonderful Star Wars-esque shot of Earth. And we're hearing like things from the 60s, and then you see the Dalek ship coming overhead, right, with great music building up. Yeah. And this is like one of the last times the Sylvester McCoy titles kind of worked for Sylvester McCoy. He outgrew those titles really at the in his second year. They were far like the winking into camera, with a silver face. None of that worked on season 24, which was much more camp. But like when they're going for a much more darker Doctor, which thank God they did, right? It really, really worked. It kind of it works somewhat in this story, but when you get something like Ghostlight, which is really labyrinthine, dark, and weird, right, and excellent as well. I like it a lot. It jars you out of it big time. But anyway, so you got that great opening title sequence, and then what's the first thing we open up to?
So I've made notes. Okay, so it's podcasting. When I do it, you got to kind of describe it. It's a bit weird, but yeah. So we have the opening. I'm a sucker for a shot of the Earth in that beautiful blue marble. You know, the famous photo from NASA shot, and a voiceover. You know, you get JFK, Martin Luther King, a French guy. I don't know if it was De Gaulle. And it all plays into the set. I don't know. All plays into the settings of it because you've got JFK was assassinated the night before Doctor Who first aired. So Doctor Who's First Adventure, 22nd November. So it all plays into it. And it's talking about we all breathe the same air, and then you see this beautiful model shot of a presumably alien spaceship. It's not going to be one of ours, heading towards our home, and that the theme kicks off. The theme's great. I mean, the intro does look fantastically 80s. And
It's very
80s. And I think you mentioned in your stream this was like the first time like computer effects have been used, so that was pretty interesting. But nothing that's like horrendous. It felt pretty good. So I think you literally start off and it's like straight into it. There's there's no fat on the bones of this one at all. So you've got Sylvester McCoy and Ace. Who's like dressed anachronistically because she's so clearly 80s, leather jacket, patches all over. She looks a bit like Lister from Red Dwarf.
Too.
Yeah, and here the doctor's like, go grab something to eat while I have a look at this van. And she's like, oh, is it a detective van? Which made me laugh. And then smile.
But why they were never real. I only found that out a few years ago. Yeah, you used to have this again the 70s and 80s. You used to have the TV detective van going around to see if you had a TV with that. Like they weren't real; they were just there to scare people. I had no idea. Anyway, so what was I going to say? So what's really skillful with this is how it blends in the history of Doctor Who while not letting that stop the forward motion of the story. Right, so the first thing you see is Coal Hill School, right after the titles, right, and you immediately, in the 1960s, it's so if you're a Doctor Who aficionado, like a big fan, you're looking at something to do with the history of the show. If not, you're just watching a TV show, right? And fine, so the Doctor, a complete reinvention of the Doctor between the last season and this season, right? This Sylvester McCoy is. Like he's worked out how he wants to play the Doctor, and oh boy, does it work! Right? It's like when I was watching this today, I thought this is as much authentically the Doctor as Tom Baker was, and just as different as Tom Baker was from Pertwee or Hartnell. It was Sylvester McCoy, and I just feels like it's still the same. It really feels like the same character to me. So he walks in. So he's looking at this. This van with mysterious antenna, sends Ace off to cafe to get some food. By the way, the other thing I noticed was it started off with Martin Luther King, and that's like a ongoing theme. Again, this is why this is such a superior production. It's an ongoing theme throughout the entirety of it of race and race relations. It's what's between the Daleks. It's what's between the humans. It's like it echoes really well and really really strong. It's just just an excellent script, right? Absolutely excellent script. Anyway, so then we get introduced to the first parts of what they call again countermeasures. Have you ever heard any of the countermeasures on Big Finish, the spin-off they did?
No, I've tended to stick to the Torchwood Big Finish, which have been a bit of a mixed bag, but no. Sorry, go on.
So you tell you. I was going to say, what were you saying?
No. So just I tended to stick to the Torchwood Big Finish stuff. I haven't gone into the Big Finish into a lot of the Big Finish stuff, mainly because it's somebody expensive. But
I agree with you. Again, look, I mean, it was easier for me because I bought them as they were coming out. Right, so now I have basically all of them, right? But if you do that, you end up getting a lot of them. But it was a very good spin-off series. So I like the there's a lot of just great setup here. Like the characters sketch, you know exactly who all the characters are instantly.
Yeah.
With like 1 or 2 lines of dialogue. That's something Rusty Davis is normally very good at.
Well, yeah, I mean, you get to know everybody, and like when you watch all the behind the scenes stuff. So, like you talking about because I watched it once, did all my notes, watched it again, did the commentary track with Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred, watched all the behind the scenes stuff, and like the main thing I noticed was that like this does not feel like a show that's on its last legs. I know what Doctor Who on its last legs feels like. I've been watching it for 7 years. I'm well versed in that. This doesn't have that feel.
That's really the the tragedy, right? Because Doctor Who was on a major upswing when it finally got the plug pulled, right? It was really doing well.
And it's like when your football club's going to be relegated. Like it's a feeling around the place more than what you're actually watching. Yes. That's what you get with Doctor Who. Like this really, I mean, we thought Chibnall was bad, but I mean, Chibnall at its best, even with all the politics put into it, like you feel like that was somebody who just purely and simply forget all the stuff they were putting into it. He just wasn't up to the job. He was piss poor at it. It's like someone at work who's no good. You know they're no good. They're trying their best, but they're no good. Like this is now. This is now worse for me. Sorry, Rabbi. This is now worse for me. I've got to get this out. This is now worse because this is somebody who has talent. Now, Russell T Davies, if he wants to go out, and he's done it over the years, if he wants to go out and make an amazing show about political issue number 1, he can. You don't need to bring that into Doctor Who. And if you want to bring political and those deeper ideas into Doctor Who, which, yes, it's always done, do it like they do it in this. There's so much more subtlety and like real conversations with people, and we'll come with like that cafe scene in this, which is like unbelievable. We'll get to it.
Oh yeah,
like,
I mean,
you don't have to. Yeah. So anyway, you don't have to like hit us over there. You don't have to say like about the Dalek. Like the Daleks are all about racial purity. It's not. You don't have to make Davros look like a Nazi because he's the biggest form you could get. Like it's like so insulting. So to watch this was just so refreshing. And I'll stop ranting now. But go on.
No, listen, you gush as long as you like, mate. I think that's why we're here. One second, let me just send me a message. Doink.
And it's funny you said about so like if anyone gets the DVD, or there's somewhere you can get the commentary. I don't know if you can get it outside the DVD or whatever, but like when you watch that, it's brilliant because Sophie Aldred, who plays Ace, asks Sylvester McCoy questions all the way through it, like not annoyingly so, but like she asked him, she said, "Oh, were you happier with the Doctor at this point?" And he said, "It was my second season as the Doctor," and he said, like changing the Doctor is like turning a great ship in the Atlantic. It takes a little time to turn it around. Right. Because all the scripts had already been written the year before, or the season before, series before, for a more comic, light-hearted Doctor. And he said it took until the second season for me to start to get those darker, more serious things in. And I was like, yeah, like this is the thing. You watch this and all the people behind it, the writers, the guest stars, the ones that are still alive, because quite a few have passed away. And like you're watching it and everyone's like so excited to be in it. Like they're all dead geeky. They're all like, even the ones who turned up like just to do like the odd scene, they were like stars of British like TV. They're all so enthusiastic about it.
Nathan Turner. He was great at that.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like everyone's like so like they're talking about it and like it's such like a brilliant thing to be on. And this is what Doctor Who's meant to be. Like it's meant to be this kind of thing, and it's just so like it's almost even more like it's unbelievable. It's great to watch, but it's just even it's like, oh god, it's not hard to do. Like you need to when you get the right people in place, doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter what they do in the private lives, if you get the right people with the best talent, this is what you can get. And I don't understand the obsession now with the people making it. I don't care who makes it. I don't care who's in it. I want a good product, because if it's not a good product, I'm not going to buy it as a customer. I'm going to stop watching it. And then like honestly, right, this is the great tragedy. The next series of Doctor Who, like by some miracle, or even Shooty's second season series, could be like the best show. It could be like right back to the heights of heights. But who's gonna care by then? No one's gonna care. Like once you've lost most people, are they going to come back? Like I've given Doctor Who so many chances, and it's just like I can't. I'm going to go back and watch the old stuff.
I'm going into it with an open mind once again, right? I'm really genuinely going into it, with open mind once again. Anyway, let's get back to Remembrance. Something else that I really liked about this was the first Ace's first full real episode, and the relationship they had of like a not really it's like parent, guardian, and kid, but it was more like a crazy uncle has to look after this like rambunctious teenager, and the crazy uncle is also a brilliant scientist, right? So he's got all this she's making a nitro 9 out of I don't know why they keep saying it's deodorant bottles. They're clearly the
gas canisters, aren't they? They look like gas
canisters put whipped cream in, right? But whatever. But anyway, and then of course, also you come in with a boombox, that was good. I liked all of that. And he goes to the cafe. But about 10 minutes in, we get a first real Dalek encounter when he meets Gilmore and the troops and there's a renegade Dalek faction. By the way, okay, so when I watched this, I noticed very early on that the white Daleks were Imperial and the grey Daleks were renegades. In the previous story, Revelation of the Daleks, the grey Daleks were the Imperial ones and the white ones were the renegades. So I just assumed, they've done so well in this civil war they had that they got the what were the official Daleks to be the rebels now, right? Because they beat them down into so much. Which I thought was a nice little plot point. But anyway, so we get this scene, right, of them the Dalek like looking at them through his Dalek vision and shoots this one guy. You see the skeleton side. We've never seen anything like that before. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, holy shit, that's incredible!" Right? Oh, you know what the sea change was like, the tone change was like, and I don't know where you are and what you feel about these series. The difference between Capaldi's first season, which I felt quite lackluster, especially his finale, and the opening of his second season when he comes out on the tank, which I personally really, really loved. A lot of people hated it, right? But like I felt that second season Capaldi had like become the Doctor, and I think it's the same sort of thing here.
They struggled with the tone with him, didn't they? I feel like he had a run similar to McCoy. They weren't quite sure where to go with it. They were just finding a feet, and then they got the rug pulled. And anyway, so it's a great opening. The guy who gets shot back as well. Bit of trivia. Tipping his name was
right.
He was the stunt coordinator, and he actually he was killed doing a stunt when he jumped out of an aircraft for a stunt and his parachute didn't open. Sylvester McCoy says that in, I think, one of the behind-the-scenes bits, which is like...
Right. In fact, and also the guy who plays the attractive blonde...
guard that gets knocked out by Dursley McLinden,
Dursley McLinden, who turns out to be a bad guy. And again, which you didn't see coming, but it made total sense when you watch it again.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, see, I watched that... Sorry. Like, I know Dursley McLinden from like when I was a kid, and I don't know why it was always on TV, but it was Just Ask for Diamond, the TV film, which was a great show. It was a adaptation of The Falcon's Malteser by Anthony Horowitz. It was the Diamond Brothers. That's probably more my generation.
I've never heard of it.
It's like, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, what did he die from?
He died of it. He died of HIV/AIDS in 1995, I think. He was a big friend. He met Russell T Davies through a friend, and that's why in the what was it called? Not the Years and Years. That's the band. That's why in It's a Sin they have a Doctor Who bit, because it was like a cameo tribute to him. So he found out he was ill. I don't think long after. I think, but it was.
Right. It's a Sin. Again, It's a Sin. Like, you look at that, fantastic. And like, you look at it, you go, how? Right? How? Bizarre as hell. Anyway, so we get the
So Ace can't figure out the pre-decimalization currency, which made me laugh.
I can't either, right?
My dad can. He was born with it, but I can't.
They set up the creepy girl very early on, right? And you get this great line which is like 5, 6, 7, 8. It's a doctor at the gate, right? I think, you know what I can do? 1 second. I won't play this, but I'll open up the video file, right? And I'll just keep it on pause. Then we'll be able to get screen grabs, essentially. Cool. 1 second.
And I loved the Seventh Doctor's sass in this, like where the army. He's like, "Oh, you're the army," and the guy looks at him like, "Why?" And he's like, "I'm very perceptive." Just,
yeah, but they really had. Was it like he? Yeah, look at this. This is a totally different character from the one we saw the year before, right? Man, I can see John Ridgway using this as reference for his Doctor Who magazine art. Again, that's beat before your time. I'm sorry, but anyway. So where was it? Yeah. So she makes friends with what's the name? Countermeasures and what was it? Iron Foreman, right? It's so full of member bearers.
Yeah.
If you know what you're watching, but
the 50th did as well. That was the 50th anniversary it started very similar in black and white. Like the 50th anniversary is just honestly like I didn't think a lot of it at the time. I don't know why, but it's got probably because I didn't know a lot. But it's just such a good special, an actual special. Okay. Well, this was the silver anniversary, wasn't it? Yeah, this was the silver anniversary. 25 years.
Yeah, the 25th anniversary show. What do you prefer, the Dare the Doctor or the 5 Doctors?
It's been a while since I watched it. I'll go. Oh no, actually, I don't know.
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think for me, like I feel like the 5 Doctors. I mean, let's be honest, it was just the 4. But it was a bit. It was. I haven't watched it in a long time, but for interaction between the Doctors. Probably the 5 Doctors, to be honest. But I do think because I was around to see like the build up to that 50th anniversary, it was unbelievable. It was everywhere, and I think they are just for like epic scale. I think Day of the Doctor was. We got Night of the Doctor, which I thought.
Night of the Doctor was awesome. The 50th anniversary in general was fantastic. Now, it is important, right? When evaluating, these weighty measures, these weighty things that you bring in a superior mind that can condense and congeal everything around them. And come up with pure clarity, right? It's
a bit rude, isn't it? I'm right here.
Well, listen. If I say this person shines out like gold in darkness, I could be talking about a string of bat's piss, or I could be talking about royalty. Of course, it's only Birmingham royalty. It's Birmingham King of the Kings. Happily, how you doing, sir?
You saucy bastard. Hi, good evening, both. How are you, Sean? Good to meet you. Rabbi, I'm sorry to have missed all the fun, but I chimed in. I've just got done doing mostly done doing some DIY. I've just got the mopping up to do. I've managed to cut my thumb quite badly, but I always do. So yes, I've been doing all that, and I managed to catch the last half an hour or so of your fabulous chat, and it's got the memories stirring and whirling, guys.
Oh, again, this was such a huge moment for Doctor Who because this was the time when it was really came back. Right, it was absolutely fantastic, and it came back like without even blinking. Really, it's like with so much confidence and grace. Right, did very well. So, so we got introduced to countermeasures. So we get this fantastic effect. Now, what Dan? Do you remember when you first saw that?
It was, and this is no pun intended. This was electrifying.
Yes.
This moment.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was huge.
We'd never seen the Daleks. This impactful, and this felt. And I know how ridiculous this sounds, Sean, but to us watching this, bear in mind this was just 2 years after James Cameron had released Aliens, which had kind of turned everything, all of science fiction, it sort of turned it up a notch after the Star Wars movies. And so whilst this isn't anywhere near as visceral as that, it made you feel like, the Dalek, it's watching these guys, it could be watching you, and then it could just pick you off with accuracy like this and hit and scramble your insides. It was brilliant. It instantly made Doctor Who look formidable again. This moment.
Right. Actually, I wanted to take the one moment of performance here when Sylvester McCoy examines the body, right? That was, that really sold it, like the reality of it. Where was it?
And he appears, mate. He appears a totally different character to the bloke that we've seen in Dragonfire Part 3. Totally different character.
Right. A much more interesting one. much more watchable one.
Interesting, competent.
Sorry?
Interesting and competent.
Right. Again, we haven't seen that in Doctor Who for quite some time. Although I think Shooter's really cool. By the way, what's your take on Millie Gibson? Was it always a plan, or is this a new thing? Was she pushed it, or did she jump?
Oh, I could be here forever talking about that. Type 40 Live, 8 o'clock Thursday.
Okay, there you go. That's how you tease it, baby. Man, I can't believe how young Simon Williams is there.
Yeah.
Like when I see him now, it's like he's so much. I can't believe how young he is there. But yeah,
and Pamela Salem, hot, so
Pamela
hot.
Salem still shaggable, right? Okay, which Pamela Salem is more shaggable? Rachel Jensen or Toos from Robots of Death? Was she in any other stories? I can't remember.
Oh, you see, I don't go for the older woman, but I think. Well, can I go for Pamela Salem as she is in Blake 7?
Oh, good choice. Maybe all three of them. There you go.
That'd be the ideal. That'd be the ideal. Greedy.
Oh, well, listen. There's a lot of me to go around, baby. There's a lot. There's a lot of pleasure that Rabbi can bring.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Oh God. You just know there's role play involved. You could be the Imperial Dalek. You could be the Renegade Dalek.
There you go.
You just know what's happening, don't you? Sorry,
as long as there's not unlimited rice pudding involved. No.
I don't like rice pudding.
You got to pay extra for that.
Oh God, yes.
But anyway, we see the Doctor using cunning and guile, and also working things out on the fly, right? Really well here when he blows up the Dalek, gets them to come and see him. Sean was saying before, like the wobbly Dalek is kind of cool, right? And this is the last hurrah as well. If I didn't realize, this is really the last hurrah for the non-Nick Briggs Dalek voice, right?
It's so good, It's so like this is my first time watching it. Do you know how much more threatening these Daleks sound? Like I was like this sound angry for me. Like, and it was like, oh, this is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I really like the fact I'm getting to watch this stuff for the first time. I'm really like, if this is what I can go back and watch, why would I bother with the new stuff? Why would I bother trying to persevere? So, it was great. Yeah.
It's hard for guys like Tzvi and myself to imagine seeing something like this for the first time, isn't it, mate?
Yeah. I would love to. Do you remember Red Dwarf when Holly gets listened to delete all memory of Agatha Christie?
Yeah.
And so she can reread it. I'd love to be able to do that, right? I would love to be able to do that.
Me too.
Okay. Great. Was it a great little scene here as well? When this is why they learned from James Cameron, where they learned from Terminator and learned from Aliens, that to do the exposition while they're on the run, right? If you do that, it doesn't feel clunky, which is what they're doing here. They jump in the van. Right, and you get this nice little cute thing where they switch over who's driving, which I thought again silly but very Doctor Who, right? Though that stuff really works.
There's great trivia about that as well. So Sylvester McCoy said that he's short-sighted and he wears glasses, but he didn't wear contact lenses. So there's like outtakes where she's basically saying to him, "Be careful of this," because what they did, they had because in England we drive on the left. So the camera's poking out the window, like stuck to the side of the van. And then if Sylvester McCoy gets it wrong, the camera will get taken off by a lamppost. So apparently she was saying like there's an outtake bit which is hilarious where she's like to the left, to the right, and you can hear him like crashing into boxes, and she's like, so I don't know whether they like decided to change it because of that. But I thought that was like, because I watched all the commentary stuff, I thought that was really funny. Like the fact that he's there, he was like, I could barely see where I was going. I was like, oh my God. So it must have been terrifying for the guys in the back of the van as well, like the sound supervisor and all that in the back of the van whilst he's there doddering about, could barely see.
Yeah, the guy with a boom mic, shitting himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's it? So we have, what's his name? Sewell. What's his name again? Philip Sewell? George Sewell. George Sewell. So he's introduced here, and again, clever piece of casting because he was a hero in a sci-fi show, UFO. You just assume he's a good guy, right? It's the same with the what's his name, the good-looking blonde guy who weirdly has an airman's jacket. Something strange for the army. So he's briefly introduced. And then we get to fine. We're basically building up to the cliffhanger right now, where we get to meet Mr. Bronson, right? So at the time this was on, Michael Sherd, who was this second or third time in Doctor Who?
Oh no, about fifth. He was in the Ark. He was in Pyramids. He was in Castrovalva. He was in.
Right. And he was particularly good, by the way, in Paul McGann's first Big Finish season in a story called The Stones of Venice. Really, really great in that. But so he's the headmaster of Coal Hill School. Yeah, again, brilliantly folding in Doctor Who lore into a vibrant new storyline, right? Without it feeling like it's bogged down by it at all, right? But essentially, this builds up to, I think, probably one of the best cliffhangers of all time, don't you? I mean,
ever.
Yeah,
so simple as well.
Right, and the use of cheap BBC computer effects, right? To do the Dalek vision. Oh, anyway, we're introduced here to the battle computer. We all assume it's Stavros, right? We all assume it's Stavros when we see that, right? It's like, what's going on? And eventually, when you get the reveal, it's the little girl. You go, oh man, that is cool, right? All together, lovely. But yeah, so basically, it all builds up to them discovering the transmat, Dalek coming through, and first time Dalek goes upstairs.
Yeah.
So it's and then we end with this. But firstly, McCoy's acting there is really here.
He's terrified. Like, he's screaming like to let him out, and you're like, this is a frightened person.
You believe him, don't you? You believe that he believes that Dalek's going to take him out.
Right, I say the Daleks in this story do take some time to shoot at people. They like to say exterminate a lot. Right, a lot before they get you.
They do a lot of stay where you are, the old one, stay where you are, all the way through, and you're like, just shoot at them. But it gave me like vibes of what the Ninth Doctor does in Dalek, which was obviously my first Dalek story, where he's like, open the door, and it felt like that.
Right,
it felt very similar. So I thought, I wonder if that's a callback they did later on. It was good. I like it's always good to see the veil slip every now and again, and see the Doctor can truly be frightened. Yeah, I like that.
Sorry, let me do fine. So we're again, Michael Sherd, great casting for this because there's a lot of kind of pathetic pathos in him being like a Dalek puppet, right? While at the same time being threatening. Like it's a good combo.
He was playing a headmaster in Grange Hill at the time as well, apparently.
Oh yes.
Apparently.
Well, that's what
he was the most famous teacher in Britain as Mr. Bronson. Well, he wasn't the head teacher of that show. He was the maths teacher, Mr. Bronson, and he wore a wig. Yeah, and even though he'd been in Doctor Who several times, he'd done everything else. By the time he was in this, he was only really famous as being Mr. Bronson. And when you were like 13, 14, like I was, he was the kind of teacher that you dreaded the idea of having. And here, seeing he looks similar in this, but it's a sort of twist on the same character because he's a little bit more pathetic in this. He's not so sure of himself.
And that's why it's such great casting. Like, firstly, he's got the
casting
to bring it. Yeah. But like culturally, he's like. By the way, I mean, like, I would like to point out to Chris Chibnall. You see a Dalek here. not be flummoxed by a small wooden door, right? Like it was in Eve of the Daleks, right? Where they couldn't open the door. Yeah, so with Ace being awesome, blowing things up. Again, we haven't seen a dynamic like this for years and years. It's like this fresh, right?
10 years. It was 10 years since Louise Jameson's time on the show. It's been 10 years. And bear in mind that my favourite companions, I love Tegan in particular, got a lot of time for the other girls, but it hadn't really felt this energised since Louise Jameson had been on.
Now, that's not be confused with me feeling energized, which happened every moment on the screen. Right.
I like the way the mystery unfolds as well, especially as a first-time viewer, because especially in that first episode when just before Sylvester McCoy blows the Dalek up with the squirty cream cans, he says about like he shouts at a Dalek like, "Don't you recognize me? I'm like your sworn enemy," and the Dalek just ignores him, and he's like, "What's?" And I think Ace or somebody says to him, "What's the matter?" And he's like, "They don't know who I am. They're different." And I was thinking, I don't understand what's going on. So, like, the whole two factions, because I didn't have a clue. Genuinely didn't have a clue that the Daleks had a civil war, which is a great idea.
Well, they just introduced it at the beginning of the last story, right? And this was basically the end of it, right? You had you had no idea how you got. There's actually comic strips that filled in the middle a little bit, but it was just kind of like hinted at the revelation of the Daleks that they were starting off. At the end of Revelation of Daleks, essentially they find Davros, and he's developed these white Daleks, and they take him back to Skaro to stand trial, right? And that's the last you see of him. And then you see this. You're like, wait. So you're dumped in the middle of a continuity, which is, I just think, adds it realism.
Yeah.
Fine, and I do like the relationship that builds up between Mike and Ace here. I think Ace is very, even though he's super gay, Sophie Aldred does the googly eyes at him very well, right?
It's a good shot.
So this was added in for filler, and oh boy, is this one of the best things ever written in Doctor Who, right? It really sets out what this new era is.
Yeah, it's
with McCoy talking about time and decisions, and everything pulls together. Again, great casting, great direction, great script, great acting, everything coming together to produce. I think absolute magic, right? Really do.
Yeah.
But to compare a scene like this, which we hadn't really had in Doctor Who, I don't think ever, to my memory. Perhaps, maybe there were scenes similar to it in the Pertwee era, I don't know. But to have a scene like this where one of the central characters is seen to just take a few minutes, take a few moments to have a casual conversation with a normal everyday person, compared to like the quickening of the pace we spoke about earlier on, Sean, how you were describing the scene in the van, that the exposition happens on the move to get us to the next location and the next kind of set piece. And then we have a scene like this. It speaks of enormous confidence from Ben Aronovich, the writer.
Well, they tried to get rid of this. So they tried to get rid of this scene. In fact, they cut part of it off. There was a little bit after this where I think the little girl turns up at the window and the guy basically wishes him well and whatnot. But it's a great scene. I think that these like little quiet scenes where you get the drama, where you get those character moments, this is where as an audience you, or at least I do, you connect with these characters and you see how they treat people. This is something that I think we've lost in drama as a whole, in a lot of things as a whole, like now that you watch stuff and you just don't care.
In genre drama, Sean, I think it's a major thing because they're always they concentrate so heavily on style.
Yeah, it's over substance, though, isn't it? And I mean, look at what they're talking about here. Like, you know, the awesome speech from the Doctor. You know, you get the gentleman who, funnily enough, trivia, he goes on to become, I think, a butler to the Prince of Bel-Air. Funnily enough,
right.
Yeah. So you get this scene where the doctor's talking about sugar. You know, would it make a difference if I had sugar in my tea? And he's basically talking about, you know, am I right in making this decision? And I think in my own head that he's talking about this decision he'll make at the end to destroy Skaro and whatnot. Kind of, but you know, this gentleman is talking about how If it wasn't for Sugar, his great grandfather would have been kidnapped, chained, and sold in Kingston in the first place. I'd be an African, I'd be there. And then, this awesome speech follows from the Doctor that quote, see every great decision creates ripples. Like a huge boulder dropped in a lake, the ripples merge, rebound off the banks in unforeseeable ways. The heavier the decision, the larger the waves, the more uncertain the consequences. And the guy just replies with, well, life's like that. Best thing is just to go get on with it.
It's a wonderful, at this precise moment, the reason why the Doctor can afford to take this time out is because, despite the fact it's all kicking off, he knows something that the Dalek factions don't know. He knows where the hand is, so he's got the advantage still at this point. And so he knows, as you say, he knows how it's going to play out. That the decision will be his. It won't be theirs. It will be his.
Yeah, which is always the great curse of the Doctor. Like he likes to get involved, but at the same time, if you had to be somebody who had to make these awful decisions, I mean, it's something in the new era they go with the Time War and how all that ended. But it's just a fascinating kind of quandary because it's like, yeah, he's someone who's really powerful, but then to actually be the one who makes that decision and all the guilt and all the consequences that come with that. But it's just it's just a fantastic moment in a brilliant bit of drama. And like, for anyone who's listening to my podcast, and if you haven't, give it a go.
Please.
Honestly, I don't gush about stuff. I'm very stereotypically northern. I'm very difficult to please. I just genuinely right. And this is. I know this is like probably one of the best Doctor Who stories. That it sounds like it's seen very highly regarded, but like this is what I mean. Like this isn't. It should not be hard to do this. Like if you can make it with the big wobbly Daleks because they tried a bit of new technology, it didn't quite work. They have the scale of it, and you think they've got all this, and it's not about money, but they've got all this money, and they've got talent in Russell T Davies. And if it was used in the right way to make a story, you could have a story with scenes like this where characters talk about different issues, but it's intrinsically and it's natural to it's not message first and then all the other stuff.
Russell can write this way. He did a lot of this kind of content in his original run. I think this kind of stuff interests Stephen Moffat less. It's not that I don't think he can do it. I think he chooses not to. I think other things interest him more and get his pulse racing a little more. And as for the other fella, whatever his name was, I'm starting to blank it all out now. I'm not sure what his strengths were.
Yeah, I have to tell you, while I absolutely liked 2005 to 2010, that his first run, I don't think Russell's writing was ever on this standard. I don't think Ben Aronovich's writing has ever been on this standard.
well, I mean, I'd like to know. I've never really met Andrew Cartmel properly, but I'd love to know how much he had to work with Ben's, because they were both so young, and they both gush about one another a lot. But I do wonder whether he had to work on this material with him, because it is so nuanced. There's a lightness of touch to this, which I agree. I don't think anything else. And I like Ben Aronovich. I quite like Battlefield, but there's nothing in either of his stories that approaches this level of sort of, well, as I say, lightness of touch like this, the real character beats.
I think it is. I think it's because this was his first professional writing job, and he just didn't know, what you can't do and what you can do. Right? He just
no fear, is there? Like when you have that lack of fear, you're right. You just kind of don't care. So I mean, in the best possible way. Yeah, it's a.
Just write it, and because obviously with this story, as you said, Sean, there were things there was a lot that was written that was never filmed. There was a lot that was filmed that was never screened. And if you go back and read the novel, there's so much in that.
Oh, I love the novel. The
novel's fantastic.
It's one of the few Target novels I read. It's a quick little read, and it adds so much depth. But
Battlefield's the same, isn't it? Even though Battlefield, the book of that is written by Mark Platt, it also includes a lot of extra stuff, the stuff that wasn't in that Ben wrote, and he just throws everything in there. He's like burning with ideas, as you said, Sean, and this being his first professional job, he just throws everything he's got at it, and it's better to bring too much than too little.
Right. Also, I think another factor would be that I think John Nathan Turner was like very depressed and at the brink of breaking.
He was done really. Wasn't he?
Yeah, like he had a really rough time. And then you had Andrew Cartmel finally worked out what to do with Doctor Who, and he had this like new creative vision, which he basically created with Ben Aronovich and Mark Platt to a certain extent. And I think that really reinvigorated John Nathan Turner, right? Because this is such a confident production with such great production values.
Well, I think his first feeling, the first sensation he must have felt was relief. But once that subsides, I think you're right. I think there would have been a re-stimulation and sense of confidence that, this is working. Don't ask why. Don't question it. Just accept it. It's working. Let them run with it. And this is what you get.
Right. I think the bad relationship between Eric Saward and John Nathan Turner was a big cloud over the production, which was lifted by now.
Yeah.
Right, which I think helped. So anyway, we get the Doctor who comes to see the Hand of Omega.
The Welsh Undertaker, for anyone who is William Thomas, so he's a Welsh actor, goes on to star in Gavin and Stacey, his father Chris. He plays Mr. Cleaver in Doctor Who episode Boomtown. He's the one who gets decapitated by Mary.
I see that. Yeah.
And he also played Geraint Cooper, Gwen Cooper's dad in Torchwood Series 2, and in Torchwood Miracle Day, which is much maligned. It's miles better than you remember. But yeah,
just long. Okay,
it was a bit long. Yeah, a bit long.
It should have been 10 episodes. Best Torchwood. I know you're a big Torchwood fan. Best Torchwood, I think, still remains Children of Earth. Right? I think everything else, and I'm one of the few people who actually like season 2. I
love Children of Earth, but no, I have to disagree. It's not got Indira Varma in it. I think Who Killed Susan Costello is easily the best episode. The more Indira Varma in anything as
my problem is though that I think it was Andor that made I can't watch her anymore when she did like a silly slap fight to get away from the Imperial, and she won. She beat up like 2 stormtroopers by doing that.
She's got so much goodwill built up in my. With me, I was going to say my wank bank then, but she's got so much goodwill built up with me that it will take more than one iffy series of Obi-Wan for Indira to block.
I'm not a Star Wars person. I get to keep out of all this stuff. But just the point you made about confidence, Rabbi, and I know we've all spoke about, this episode, Remembrance of the Daleks has such a confidence in it. This is something I feel that Doctor Who has lacked confidence for years, but what I think is even worse is the new stuff, this new era of RTD. Or let's be honest, it's not his era; it's Disney. It's a false confidence. They're so confident in it; they're not even questioning themselves, and it's like you should really I'm not being over. I mean, I'm a very overly critical person of myself, but I think people. It doesn't hurt to be like critical of what you're doing sometimes, of how can I make this better. Like that comes across when they brought Doctor Who back in all the behind the scenes stuff. The producers, Collinson, Julie Gardner, Rusty Davies, they were all like, we were so terrified we were going to screw it up. We were so worried we were going to.
And that production was kind of a disaster. They were all hanging on by the seat of their pants. Well, I don't want to derail the conversation, but I would point out that Disney, again, the Disney are only one production partner on this show, and we've only seen one episode with their involvement. And in my view, one of the best things about the Church on Ruby Road was the scene that was put in at Disney's request, the scene in the street with the giant snowman and the police officer. I thought that scene did the episode the world of good. So I'm not gonna throw my hands up at Disney this early when we've seen so little of it.
I don't think it's a Disneyfication of Doctor Who. I think it's I think it's a Disneyfication of Russ T Davies, which is a much bigger problem. Right? I think they sing from a similar.
To be fair, I think they put that. I mean, I don't get into the politics, Rabbi and Dan, but honestly, I feel like the only reason that they put that scene with the police officer made me laugh, because I felt like, there's another man. It felt like there was no other men. And I know it was a really small cast, but I was like, good God, I was like watching, thinking, It's like England had all the men killed. Like, what's happening? Is this a plot
Yeah,
point?
they've all gone off to. They've all been conscripted.
I genuinely thought it was a plot point. I was thinking, is there something going on? Like, obviously, I know the Doctor's a man, but
like
thinking,
Children of Earth, or like that episode where everybody
Earth,
with the Sycorax have got everybody with a certain blood type on the roof. Something's happened to all the men.
Shooty looks up, all the men are on the roof. Yeah, I don't know. God knows it. I don't know. I thought it was a plot point, genuinely. And I thought, oh no, okay, it was, yeah.
It just changed the subject ever so slightly. Doesn't Sophie look really sexy with her hair down
and in
that dressing gown?
Like, this looks a very like post-coital Sophie, right? This seems very.
And again, she's very googly at what his name is. Is this where she sees the no coloured sign?
Yeah, it is, and it's the first time we see Ace kind of with her guard down as well. At all.
Right. Okay, so this cheap digital effect works very well. I love the
looked amazing at the time. Looked cutting edge in '88.
The shadow they put in is excellent. You get the
Peter Halliday there played Packer in The Invasion back in 1968.
That's who he is. I get it, but like, I love this. Like, I obey. Right, you got this like.
Oh, do you know originally they had the Daleks talking to him? Because I watched the behind the scenes, and they originally had the Daleks giving him orders. Oh, it's so bad. I'm so glad whoever said, "Yeah, let's not have him reply." They actually had like speech. They're saying like, "Follow him."
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So now we're getting like that. The Daleks have all come to the human agents, and the Doctor's obviously got some plan going on. Right, and he turns up again. Is this where she sees a no coloured sign?
I think it's later after this. I missed the first watch, believe it or not. I don't know. I must have been writing notes.
Yeah, she has to stay behind. And what's going on? They're trying to work out where oh, here it is, a no coloured sign. Right, again, and it was such. Oh no, it's the radio. It was just such a clever way of like just reinforcing this thread of racial division, which goes from the Daleks, goes through the human being. It's like it's about something, right? And this is what writers really need to think. When they're writing something, they're not just getting a paycheck. What's it about, right? And this is actually about something, right? Which is why it has that thread going all the way through it. A wonderful notice. Was it Wink to Doctor Who? Right, it's about now a new Saturday afternoon TV show. Click, cut, and it's I think Professor X is what it would have been in universe. Fine. So Ace is bored, and she goes to find the Daleks, and the Doctor has rigged up she went to get a boombox, right? And the Doctor has rigged up where is it?
Apparently, she found that really heavy to carry, so she said to like the prop guys, "Can you do anything to like make this lighter?" They were like, "Just take the batteries out," which I thought really made me laugh.
She hears the Daleks there. Great showdown between. This is another great cliffhanger, right? Between Ace and the Daleks, and I remember it being in school at the time.
I actually like this one more.
Yeah. Yeah, right. It's like why? Because you care about Ace as a character, right? And her final look that she has is really convincing, right? It's like she absolutely said, and I love them looking up the Dalek. Makes the Daleks look powerful, makes them look scary. It's everything you want a Dalek to be, right?
Can I ask you and Dan a question?
Sure,
Rabbi. Right. So obviously, I'm new to the old era. Did the Daleks used to have like much twitchier eye stalks, because they seem to move like in the new stuff, they kind of look at things and then move and look. In this, they seem to like twitch. They seem to look a little bit.
They always did have it. It depends on who the Dalek operator was at the time.
And who was directing them?
They had a lot more. The 60s Daleks are a lot more like the 2005 to 2010 Daleks, right? Especially at the scene in Daleks in Manhattan, right? When you have the bit where the Daleks are conspiring and one looks behind them, right? That's a very 60s Dalek thing to do. But this is more, I would say, Lee Sullivan than this. Right. So again, excellent cliffhanger. Let's move on to part 3. Doink. which is
you have that discussion in episode 2 as well, don't you? From that Mr. Ratcliffe, when he talks about, I fought for this country, but I fought for the wrong cause, and I got imprisoned. And you figure out he's a fascist,
right. And that point, because again, this was only what was it, 63? So it's what 18 years after World War II. So what was 18 years ago? 18 years ago was 2006. So imagine if the Nazis were as close to us as David Tennant's first series of Doctor Who, very alive in people's heads, right?
Very close. I mean, rationing doesn't enter 1954, so it's still like a country getting over that really, and apparently they said they put this in because it was at the time where they were starting to have problems with like far right. Like groups and things like that were starting to emerge. So apparently that's why they kind of leaned into this. But again, there's nothing wrong with.
You had all the race riots, I think, in the late 50s or early 60s. I think late. Soho, there were race riots in London.
Well, you're talking about there was a contentious. Who was the politician who with the rivers of blood?
Enoch Powell.
Enoch Powell. So that was the mid to late 60s, and of course Powell was he's only remembered for this speech now. There was more to his career, as I've only recently discovered this speech. But when I was schooled, that speech was held up as an example of horrendous racism, and so it very much lines up with this time in history. Yeah.
Right. But then it balances these serious social issues with wonderful, exciting, geeky sci-fi drama. Like the realization of these Daleks with the green blood all over them, and Rachel Jensen goes to look inside, right? And you get like the Dalek has mutated again. I love this scene. Again, it's great scene after great scene after great scene, right? So now we first see the Dalek spaceship set, and I have to say, I think they should have done this as a miniature, and we wouldn't have known the difference. At the time, there was these wonderful model kits you can get by this guy called Sevens. The Stuart Dan, do you remember?
Yeah, of course. They were fantastic. They were at that time, because this was before the Product Enterprises Daleks. These were the only real model Daleks that were completely accurate. The specification, the measurements were bang on, weren't they?
Yeah. And they did Dalek, they did a Cyberman, and they were a bugger to make. Right here, let me see if I can find a picture. Way beyond my skill set to make this stuff.
Oh no, the Dalek one was here. Here's a picture of it. Here. The Cyberman one was hard. Here's the picture of Doctor Who magazine. Oh, let me pull this up.
They used to have the adverts. They used to have the adverts a lot of the time on the back cover of Doctor Who magazine. Didn't they?
Right. I'm literally about. About to pull that up right now. 1 second.
Oh, I loved it.
Here we go. Doink. So I'll share that screen.
Because you had no idea, Sean. None of us fans had any idea what was going on in Doctor Who at all, like outside of the TV show, until Doctor Who magazine turned up every 4.5, 5 weeks.
Yeah, that was the internet.
Pages,
the trickiest bit was making the Dalek gun, but these models were fantastic. They were really, really fantastic. What else did they? Then Ice Warrior, which was very good. A Cyberman. Brighton.
God, it's a blast from the past.
Anyway, so I thought I couldn't tell if this was a miniature or not. And then when the Emperor turns up, obviously no, it's not. Dalek transmat. I like the slow transmat. Right, it was something like very, very different that you hadn't really seen before. All right, Jules Sewell finds the hand of Omega, and the Daleks find it from him, and that. What is this brown sauce they got there? That looks freaking awesome.
Well, the strength of this, isn't it, Rabbi, is in the fact that there's plenty of stuff we've never seen before.
Oh, it's kiddies. It's kiddies, I think. Is it kiddies brown sauce?
Even the stuff we have seen before is done in a different way.
Right. Again, there's this incredible freshness about.
It's Daddy's brown sauce. Sorry,
that is. You
still get it. It looks different. Well, there you go.
You know, and they were so lucky to get a kid who can act as well. Compare this kid to, I know you love this show, I don't know how, Delta and the Bannermen, right? Delta and the Bannermen.
Careful.
I know. We're in bigger territory.
Steady on.
But like it was just a year earlier, and this kid is totally scary, right? And well, the you know, Delta and Bannerman kid was scary, but for totally other reasons, right? Totally other reasons. So yeah, look, episode 3 is basically spinning its wheels, but with like, you know, a fun, interesting stuff going on. Sorry, Sean, you were just going to say something? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, so that guy, like the Ratcliffe, he's like so Oswald Mosley. It's like he's got that look of like a real, like,
right. He's got that London 1960s fascist thing going on.
Yeah, like,
I've got. He's Jewish though. Did you know?
No, I didn't.
I think he's Jewish. There's a lot, like the guy Mike who owns the cafe is Jewish as well. It's George Sewell. Let me look it up. Is George Sewell Jewish? 1 second.
Well, there's always some fascinating things. Is that the guy who directed The Unearthly Child? He was British. Was he British Indian and gay?
Well,
and it's like no one ever tells you that. But it's like, yeah, because he made an amazing piece of Doctor Who. It's
right. What's his name? They had the docudrama. What was that docudrama called? Adventure in Time and Space.
Adventure in Space and Time. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just looking at his Wikipedia, seeing if he's Jewish or not. I can't find it. Personal life cancer, blah blah blah. If he was, I can't find it with scanning over his Wikipedia right now. Okay, basically, fine. But again, good villain built up, right? And they have different levels of villains, and then you get the Doctor wanting to have a deception and keep everybody busy by making a command base at the school.
Well, they're deceptive with him as well. I like this, like the army. Oh, sorry, the what are they called? Not
Oh, are they countermeasures yet, or did they get?
They're just at this point. They are just the army. Yeah, they're not unit, and they're not strictly speaking countermeasures.
Yeah, although the group captain's got. Well, yeah, of course he has the RAF. Anyway, so he's there, and the army, like the women are talking earlier, the scientists, and they're trying to figure out. The Doctor clearly knows more than he's telling them. But then they have their own plan. They're like, well, we'll string him along. He'll help us out. And then we'll like interrogate him later. And I like that because a lot of the times, like, especially in modern Who, you get kind of the Doctor's always one step ahead of everybody and the others just kind of follow him. Whereas I like the fact in this that the army are like, right, they've got their own plan. Obviously, it doesn't go anywhere, but they have their own. They've got their own game they're playing. I like that.
I think
nice moment. It's easy to overlook moments like that, but you're absolutely right.
What are we up to? 1 second.
I always nitpick out really random things.
I remember this bit in the book. They actually had like a lot more detail. So fine. So here we get the first introduction of the Cartmel Master Plan, where you have. Was it essentially it looks at the dawn of Time Lord Society. You have Rassilon and Omega, and they don't mention in this one, but there was somebody called the Other, right? Which is eventually you find out is a proto Doctor, right? The way that the Time Lords reproduced at this time was you had houses, and each house had a loom, and each loom would make 12 Time Lords, and you had 12 alive at any one time. And so you had, that's how Time Lord Society works.
Yeah, so, I'm bored just thinking about it. I'm so glad it didn't go anywhere.
Oh, I like all that stuff. For me, again, it was kind of side stuff. But like, so the Other at the dawn of Time Lord Society throws himself into like the source code of the looms to be reborn at some point, and that's who the Doctor was, right? But this is the introduction of the Cartmel Master Plan, done quite succinctly, quite deftly, right? Oh yeah, so now we find out who's in the chair, and it's the little girl, and she's really good. And there's a great bit here where she's got this hot, the scary Davrosy voice. You're a slave, Ratcliffe. You're born, and it fades away. And she takes on a child's voice. You get the black Dalek out and a plasma sphere. It's only going to be a good time when you get a black Dalek and a plasma sphere. Doctor turns up. Again, one of my absolute... This is the attention to detail in this era, which just came out of nowhere.
where the Doctor's left a card. Let me get a picture of it. There you go. Oh, love it.
Yeah, I like this as well. It's cheesy, but it's irresistible.
It really works, right? It really genuinely. What did you think of this, Sean?
Yeah, it's that kind of little. And again, like to bring it back to Modern Who again, it reminded me of the kind of Platform 1, that kind of weird type they had in that. But yeah, I liked all these little. Sometimes you need like a little bit of cheese, a little bit of something, because it like adds to it, doesn't it? Like it's part of its charm. That's like I was saying earlier, before you jumped in, Dan. I think about I don't know if you caught it, about like the wobbly Daleks, because they tried new technology, it didn't really work, and like. People thought they looked a bit drunk, but like that's part of the charm. Like people, I said this in my review about the new stuff. Like people I would take Doctor Who in a cardboard bus shelter with the best dialogue you've ever heard than I would £1 million set and the script's rubbish. I've no interest in it.
I keep saying the same thing about the new TARDIS set, which I'm really kind of pissed off with. It's just money spent on Dan thinks they're going to.
That's winding you up. That's winding you up more by the week, isn't it?
Money spent on bloody nothing. They would have been better just rebuilding the season 14 set.
It looks like a Bupa hospital, doesn't it, Dan? I said this before and people didn't get what I meant. But...
I'd like to think. My hope is that they're not going to leave it there, because it is so stark that they can't possibly leave it there.
It looks nice, but there's nothing behind the eyes. It's such a good image to use for this era of look at the shiny. It looks lovely. Is there any substance to it? Nah. Nothing. It's a bit. It flashes in different lights. It's like the inside of a disco ball at a bad rave. Do you like that?
Right. Well, again, I think that's where there's a big touchstone for the new era, a bad rave. Something that's just so Doctor Who is the Doctor working with the military. I think that was a archetypal thing that was set up in the War Machines, is where we first really saw that. And again, this group really it just really works, right? You get feeling that they're real. Anyway, so then you get again, googly eyes. Then you get just another freaking awesome cliffhanger. You find out that he's a bad guy, but then you get another freaking awesome cliffhanger of the shuttle landing. This production value is like nothing that we've ever seen in Doctor Who. This was, again, when it was on its fucking knees. They was hated at the BBC. How John Nathan Turner pulled this together is just so impressive, right? I absolutely adore this. They blow
people were thrilled over this week by week, and it wasn't just fans as well. I used to have the piss ripped out of me for being a Doctor Who fan until this 4 weeks.
Yes, this changed everything.
Everything changed.
Did.
But when that's the same with you knew Doctor Who had made it in the later era. For me was when on Christmas Day you'd want to sit down and watch Doctor Who. The whole family would sit down and watch it with you. Your mum would watch it to swoon over David Tennant.
Right.
Everybody else would sit around and watch it with you. And it became something that was a bit mainstream, which even the Doctor Who'd never really been.
I'd even go so far as to say it was the most mainstream drama on British television that wasn't a soap. Everybody would never dream of missing Doctor Who.
Doctor Who was mainstream in a lot of times. A lot of the Tom Baker stuff, the Hinchcliffe Holmes stuff was so mainstream. And I think the early Hartnell stuff about Pertwee, again, the reinvention of Pertwee made it huge. It was like I was going to say it's like the X-Files, and that was also before your time, Sean.
No, it's not. I mean, the theme tune terrified me as a little kid.
But that had such a huge cultural phenomenon, right? So the Pertwee era was like that. So again, Sylvester McCoy working out what he's doing with the Doctor. Yes, incredible production value. I hats off to John Nathan Turner for this. And the subtle redesign of the Daleks, they look fantastic. Are these new models or are they just refurbished ones, do you think?
I believe that they were refurbished. I did know the story behind this. I think some of them, because a lot of the Daleks then were make do and mend. They were bottom halves from one, top halves from another. and new accessories built onto old shells. So yeah, you want to head over to Dalek 6388, and they've got the full specs on what was what on this. But yeah, it was a real Frankenstein effort.
Yeah, but again, like the subtle redesign. Yeah, let me see if I can turn out the picture there of like the instead of the mesh behind the shoulder sections, but the gold instead, and the solid white in between the slats, and the little raised thing on the skirt. All that, and also the redesigned socket and redesigned lights at the top, ear lights, all made this feel just so fresh and new.
Because
right?
as a fan, we do notice every single tweak like that, don't we?
Right.
I love the special weapons Dalek as well. I may have ordered myself a little model of that.
I got one of those. Yeah.
It was great, but yeah, I really.
So,
and they're just so threatening. It's like, it's nice to see the Daleks like carry out on a threat, because I think in the making of this, they were saying how the Terror Nation used to have to essentially say, yes, you can have this story, or he had like first refusal on writing it and rights of the Daleks appearing, and then they always felt the need to use them properly. And I felt, to be honest, in like the newer era, like they used them too much. They became like the Daleks used to sit around and talk, and it was like you never really saw that threat. So to see them going around and just like firing and blowing up, and that threat was like,
because like this final episode, we kept like a real high production action finale. In the book, by the way, the special weapon Daleks, the other Daleks hate the special weapon Daleks because its radiation has mutated it somewhat, so it's not too Aryan Dalek-y. So but because it's very powerful, they use it. But that's why they don't bring it into.
It's kind of similar to that Dalek that goes out of its mind in the new series, isn't it? It's a Dalek Khan that goes slightly nuts, slightly insane.
Yeah, I danced and died 1,000 times. That one.
Right.
Very similar to that.
So again, this is my headcanon. I'm thinking, because this is quite a large Dalek force, and they have, by the way, great effects. Like we see.
I love the little. Sorry, Rabbi. I love the little, like, in the plungers, they have like a key. No, so
right. Yeah,
I love that.
That was fantastic.
But I just thought this was fascinating that like the Daleks have this kind of like Nuremberg laws of like stages of. I do a lot of history. Stages of like Dalek purity. I was like, that's like, I just love that. It was like something I've not seen before. But sorry.
Again,
no, it's lovely.
Like very layered, very three-dimensional. And so in my head canon, the renegade Daleks that were the Imperial Daleks last time we saw them, right? They're the one. They were the ones on top. Now they're on the back foot. I just have in my mind that these two Daleks have like real hardened battle veterans. That's why they see off these four Daleks quite easily, right? And again, I love seeing the Daleks burning in the streets and blowing up. And now we get the new Emperor. People hated this at the time. They were pissed. This is great.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
hated this new Emperor, right? I loved it. It was a perfect fusion of TV 21 and modern era, right? I even like the light. The voice was a bit shit. I noticed as well. But I guess it was Terry Malloy trying to do something. Anyway, they bring the wheel out the special weapon Dalek. And this wasn't. It was another explosion where they called like 5 fire brigades.
Oh right? Yeah, the firefighters turned because it was out underneath. I think was it Waterloo, and apparently it was a time when it was the IRA, and they thought a bomb had gone off.
Right.
The station, so firefighters turned up, and there's like a brilliant picture of them, and the like behind the scenes Peter was saying like the ambulances turned up first, and they said all this smoke like enveloped the ambulance, and then it moved apart, and apparently the ambulance driver looked, and right in front of him were just these Daleks in the road, and they said his face was just like, what the hell? Can you imagine? Oh my god.
On the Dalek props there. Thank you. And again, we get another great action sequence as the Doctor breaks into a Dalek ship. This is stuff that you would just imagine. You never thought you'll see this in real life, right? And really using Sylvester McCoy's acrobatisness even was that him or was it a stunt?
No. This was his idea to do this. This wasn't in the original script at all. So he said, "Oh, why don't I lasso it?" And that was his all. The lasso and everything was his idea. And then they wouldn't let him do it. So that's Tip. The stunt coordinator. Yeah. Who does that? Because apparently he did it the first time and the umbrella broke, and then they did it again because they didn't dare let McCoy do it. So,
I'm not surprised. I like that this Dalek is locked into place, right? The Doctor dealing with the fiber optics to deactivate the Dalek, just so incredibly Doctor Who, right? It's so incredibly organically Doctor Who, while being completely fresh and new at the same time, and putting his hat on the Dalek eye. Just lots of it great, right? Just lots of it fantastic.
Just the right measure of Douglas Adams' sort of sensibility, isn't it?
Exactly.
I was going to speaking of Douglas Adams. That Dalek Emperor looks a little bit Hitchhiker's Guide. Not that I'm kind of aware of that, but it looks a bit like that. Yeah. Oh right. Okay. Well. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, that might make sense.
So yeah, I did. I think the only thing about the movie of Hitchhikers I liked was the design of Marvin. I thought that was excellent. Everything else, I don't know. Give me the 78 TV show, right? I think I prefer that. Anyway, so what was it? Malcolm Dursley, Doug, whatever his name is, shows up. He escapes. He's trying to work out to save Mr. Ratcliffe, and is captured by Daleks. They get the plasma sphere working. Again, this kid is excellent. She's been interviewed a few times in Doctor Who magazine over the years. She doesn't act anymore, does she?
Don't think so. She's done a couple of conventions.
Right.
Because Sophie Aldred said she bumped in, like she was at a party, and this must have been like probably 20 years ago now, but she said she was at a party. In the commentary, she was at a party, and this like beautiful 20-year-old woman walked up to her and was like, "Oh my God, Sophie, I haven't seen you for years." And then it took her like a minute to kind of realize it was this girl. Obviously, like all those years later, yeah.
Fine. So again, part 4 is just kind of like a big budget action finale, which I think just ties it all together wonderfully. Then we have the Doctor has rewires the transmat into a comlink, and we find out that so this was crushing to me. I want you to know at Panopticon Convention before this came out, somebody said, "I've read the script for Remembrance of the Daleks. Do you want a spoiler?" I said, "No. I was waiting in line to get my Doctor Who 20 Glorious Years or 21 Key to Time or something signed by everybody." I said, "No." And he said, "The Emperor Dalek is Davros." I'm like, "What the fuck did you tell me?"
Oh no!
Right. So I was. Did you know about this before it happened, Sean?
I thought the little girl was Davros because that's what's in my notes.
Right.
I thought that was going to be Davros, because I've got the books. The books I put on Twitter earlier.
Right.
So I kind of knew the Emperor became Davros, but I didn't think it was in this.
Right.
So yeah, that was pretty cool. But like because obviously this is one of the first times I've seen Sylvester McCoy as a Doctor, apart from the '96 film, and he just gets the best Doctor Who death ever. He just gets gunned down and
right
just like by like a punk gang, yeah.
Right.
And like I loved some of like the lines. The script is glorious. So you could go down there and make a gloriously futile gesture. Or like earlier when he says to the group captain, like, your career is like massively unimportant right now. And I just loved how he was. He had like that perfect like balance. What you like, that kind of almost reminded me of Matt Smith in the kind of, they can have that kiddiness, that glee, like the bit where he uses that laser ray thing that was made out of a heater, and he's like, it works. Everyone else is like running for cover. And I think he had that twinkle in his eye, but also that ability to like spin on a dial and just turn dark. And that's what I like in my Doctors, and I've missed since Capaldi, in that there's no darkness, there's no commanding presence from them. I'm not saying Shooty's got a chance. He might have it, and I hope he does. I really hope he does.
I don't think he does. No, Shooty's very light, and in the moment, he's much more of a Peter Davison bouncing along, reasonably happy guy. Like with nothing. With no, I don't think he's gonna have darkness. I think he's gonna be about fun.
I grew up with the ninth. The Ninth Doctor was my Doctor, so it's like that's what I want. I want the darkness. I like the. But if we're not going to get that,
McCoy might be your era then. You might. This
yeah,
might be.
Cool. I'm good with that.
And again, like he sees the dark. When the Daleks take off, he waves them in the hat. So then great model shot, Matt Tucker, like pulling it out, like just beautifully there, right? Really, again, very very contemporary.
Worked on Red Dwarf as well, Mike Tucker, I think.
Yeah. And then was it Terry Malloy comes out? Yes, probably one of his best Davros performances. Even short though it is, I just love this. Right, I thought this was fantastic, shocking. Again, revelations that are shocking but make sense. Right, it's something that you don't see often. Right, and the first of two great confrontations in this episode, in this story. Right, where essentially goads Davros into using Hand of Omega. We wrap up the Mike stuff, and what's that? And they have this great scene. Oh, no, it's not yet. It's after this, right? So the Doctor launches his plan with reasonably naff special effects, but they do the trick, right? And then the Emperor escapes, to fight another day. And they blow up this rather nice model. But then it gets even better, right? Because you got Mike holding Ace at gunpoint, and the scary little girl turns up, zapping Mike. But again, this scene here, this is what I've been trying to get to, where the Doctor with the military talks the Dalek to death. I love this scene, right? This is a just such a archetypal Seventh Doctor thing to do. Was the Happiness Patrol the next story? Because he also does something similar in that as well.
Yeah, they do go back to this a fair amount. It happens in Battlefield as well, and to some extent he did kind of talk Kane into taking his own life in the previous story.
Right, well, that's where it started. I agree with you.
Jesus.
And I think that probably was the whole genesis of this take on the Doctor.
Yeah.
Right. But again,
it got quite old pretty quickly, but it did still feel fresh with this story because it does feel earned. Everything about the conclusion to this story does feel earned. Even the cheesiest stuff. Even the stuff you pick out in isolation and think, that sounds a bit... If you describe it to other people, this Dalek spins around and starts spewing out smoke and it sounds awful, but it's actually absolutely brilliant. But that's one of the biggest sort of oxymorons about Doctor Who. If you try and tell anybody about it, they go, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Look, Doctor Who is always a fantastic, what does I say, a conglomeration of contradictions. That's what I'm trying. Sorry, I was just trying to do it. But it is, and he's a pacifist who always works with the military.
There's a great.
Sorry, go ahead.
So there's a great interview, I think, with Mark Gatiss and Stephen Moffat, where Moffat describes the Doctor and says he's not the left, he's not the right.
Right. Okay.
That's perfect.
Do you know why you know that? Because I put that on YouTube like 4 years ago. That's one of my first big videos. Right. That's from that was from the third one of the Blu-ray box sets of the third Doctor. And it was from a documentary they did called The Third Man, which is excellent, right? Absolutely excellent. But yeah, that's still one of my best viewed videos. No, look, the Knowledge Doctor, very good, I would say. Fine.
But
so
they cut a little bit out of that as well, just before he gets out the van.
Yeah.
Because I watched the deleted scenes, and they cut a little bit where Sylvester. I think it's a shame, really, but maybe they felt it was a bit too on the nose, because obviously the group captain's like, right, we'll sort this. There's only one Dalek left, and then Sylvester, the Doctor, says, "No, I started this, so I'll finish it." And it sounds it sounds crap describing it. But like it really works.
That really fits.
Because when I watched it this time, I was like, "Why is just the Doctor getting out of the van?" Because I honestly thought for a second that we're just going to mow this Dalek down with a van, which I was dying to see. I thought we were just going to but yeah, I mean that was just the ending of that when he just puts. Oh, we're not up to that bit yet. Sorry, I don't think.
Okay, the best Daleks being mowed down by a van is by Barbara in Dalek Invasion of Earth, which he mows down like a bunch of them.
I don't know why they just made it look more sexy.
I've got that one. Don't worry. That's one of the ones I've bought. Rabbi, I've got Dalek Invasion of Earth, and I've got Unearthly Child, The Daleks, and the Edge of Destruction. All to watch for the first time. Aren't I, lucky boy?
Oh, I do it. I do envy you.
So I love this scene where he took the Dalek to death, and you can see the link between her and the girl as he starts spinning around, and the girl starts freaking out. And I like how she puts her arm out in front of her, make kind of get feeling it's like a Dalek eye, right? And apparently they had to cut out the sound effect. That was too gruesome when the Dalek imploded. And ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Oh, what a great little ending, right? And you have a funeral, and they say, "Let's bugger off."
Well, yeah, it's just like so enigmatic, isn't it? And it shows that thing that the doctor pokes his like umbrella end into the dust of this Dalek's remains, holds it up, and just blows it, and it's like that's so like out there. Then you get a funeral scene. You think, are they actually going to go to a funeral? Because the doctor never really sticks around. And then the doctor's like, it's time to leave. And Ace is like, Doctor, we did good, didn't we? Terrible grammar, but I appreciate the sentiment. And the doctor's like, perhaps time will tell. It always does. Just like that. I thought the ending was brilliant because, you know, you after such a story that's like grabbed you by the belt buckle and like took you through it and had a lovely moment, but been really fast paced. I thought, how on earth are they going to end this? Like, and yeah, it was spot on. I thought it was brilliant, to be fair. I really did.
So were you watching this anyway, Sean, or did Tzvi kind of drag you into his scheme?
So I've seen a few. I mentioned earlier, I've got like a few of the classics. So I've got like Genesis of the Daleks, got like the 10th Planet. I've seen the odd few here and there, but I've never like because I was a New Who. I would never have seen probably not ever seen Doctor Who. It was never on. My dad always had like Star Trek Next Generation on when I was a kid. That was what I watched. I've never watched Star Wars, so my dad didn't like it. So I've never got into Star Wars, which is a blessing and a curse. And so I've never really seen any of this stuff. I've always been massively into Doctor Who, but obviously watching other channels, watching a lot of YouTube stuff, and then stumbled over. In fact, I tell a lie. The first time I saw the Rabbi's name, I think was at the end of a heel versus babyface something, and I saw it, and I was like, oh well, if he said thanks to these people, these must be good. So I went and had a look, and stumbled over the Rabbi stuff, and then you were talking about different things to watch and watch this and watch that, and like it's like with my podcast, like I recommend to people, like I take films like not too seriously, but if I recommend something to you, I don't I recommend two things: food and films, and I don't mess about with either. So like I'm not going to recommend you crap. So I thought, I'll give this a go. So this was genuinely the first time I've seen it. Got the DVD for all the extras because I'm very much a DVD person, and I loved it, and obviously the Rabbi had said, "Oh, come on and talk about it," and then obviously you've come on, which is just I get why he says you're like the great intellect. I get that, to be fair, because you're like an encyclopedia. Which
great intellect. That doesn't sound like something that Rabbi.
What's the name? That's Stephen Noonan. Stephen Noonan. He is an encyclopedia, right? He knows everything. Like unbelievable. Also, Colin Archer. Right, a few years ago, we did this game show called what was it? Geek Lord Overmind.
Geek Lord Overmind. I'd love to do. I'd love to do some more Geek Lord Overmind.
Whatever you want, mate. Whatever you want. But whenever Colin Archer was on, he was by far the best. Right, he knew everything.
It was insane, wasn't it?
But like, listen to how like joyously geeky we are. Like, this is what really like gets me now. Like, a lot of the stuff coming out about New Who is like, why aren't people watching it? It's like, because you're not giving us entertaining stuff. It's not very good. It's like, and it's not because people don't like who's in it. Like, we're all just geeks. Like, we were the kids that were laughed at for watching this stuff in school. We were never the cool people. Right. And I certainly wasn't. So it was like, we're not like trying to take over the world. We just want good sci-fi. And it's not, you've got all the tools. You've got a good writer. You've got money. You've got good actors for the most part. It's like this, you're making it like really difficult for yourself. It's like watching my local football team. It's like, doesn't matter how much of an open goal there is, they'll always grasp defeat. It's like, come on. So anyway, so it's just, it's like sad because when you watch something like this, with a bit of a clunky effect and, it's a bit rough and ready, but the script's there and all the depth, depth's there. And it's like, You could do it. It's not hard to do. And, you know, people say, oh, it's toxic. And I hate that. It's like, no, it's not. People are passionate about stuff. And if they've got something they love and someone starts messing with it and makes it awful, and most people are saying this isn't great, it's like, maybe you should listen, maybe try and at least understand. Don't just shout at them and tell them they're wrong. Because, like, passion only comes when you care. Problem is now most people, I think, majority of people don't care. Like, that's a big thing that I think people have missed. Like, I don't know about Dan, but like the 60th anniversary specials, I thought they were going to like reignite at least a lot of people, because like people, like when Tennant was on the old days, like my mum would sit around, my family would sit around, you'd go to my grandma and granddad's and they'd say, oh, I watched Doctor Who. And I went to my grandma's, right? And my grandma and I said, oh, she said, oh, did you see the new Doctor Who? I said, oh, yeah. She went, load of shit. And I've never heard her. And I was
there's a reason, Sean, why when they make blockbuster movies, bear in mind that the line between TV and film is sort of narrowing all the time. There's a reason why when they make these big blockbuster movies, they make them for, say, 220 million, and they practically double that for the marketing, because marketing is so important. And the 60th anniversary, the marketing of that was certainly in Britain was shockingly bad to next to non-existent.
And then they
yet again they took, and this has been a long-standing problem of the BBC with Doctor Who since around 2012, 2013. They take the Doctor Who fan base for granted, and they take the audiences, the general audience's appetite and latent affection for it for granted as well. They drastically underestimated the marketing that would need to be put into that. I don't know if you remember, but 18 months ago, that scene where David Tennant appears as the 14th Doctor on the cliff's edge, that was put on the news. The clip was all over YouTube. The nation was thrilled by that. And there were two things that cocked it up. One, it was the fact that they didn't follow up on that for a whole year. That may as well be 5 years to the not we. And the non-existent marketing at the end of it was the other thing, and the fact that, I mean, I suppose you could say the comic thing, the very first thing that we saw that anybody saw was that Children in Need special, which was honestly horrendous.
It was so ball achingly bad. It was like, oh no! Like, I'd just come off the back of watching The Flux. I watched The Flux before Christmas. I watched the whole Flux for the podcast with Clayton, an American, and he'd watched all of New Doctor Who. And I said, do you fancy coming back to talk about that? And we watched it. I watched it and we talked about it. And oh my! And I thought, well, it can't get any worse. Oh God! Like I said, you know, it was just like, oh no. It was a mess. Honestly, it was proper. You sum it and out, as we'd say up here. It was just.
I think the fundamental problem with the specials were they just weren't that good. You had the Star Beast, which could have been fun, but it had all that trans stuff that was screaming at us.
They should have started with the Blue Yonder. They should have started with that.
Or even that was kind of tired as well.
Yeah, it was. But
mean, honestly, they should. I think they should have had a 3-part story. Maybe individual stories, but have the toy maker throughout, build up that villain.
Wasted.
And they didn't do it enough, right?
What a waste! What a waste of Neil Patrick Harris. What an absolute waste!
What a waste! That's how I feel about this new era. What a waste. But anyway, with that, I can't waste any of the Rabbi. I can't spread it around too thinly. And I'm going to have to wrap up, ladies and gentlemen.
What a scary thought.
She cried. Right, let me put Sean's channel in the chat. I'm sure we've been in there already. Please head over and give Sean a
I love the fact that you've got Mr. Blobby in there. You know, because to me that doesn't seem very long ago at all, Mr. Blobby. But you'd have been like a babe in arms when Blobby was the king.
Yes.
Yeah, it was the 90s, wasn't it?
Do you know how many Americans have messaged me saying I didn't know what that was in your logo, and now I'm scarred for life? So honestly, it's quite a few.
Blobby. Yeah.
Yeah, God, terrified. Nightmare fuel.
Fabulous.
And Dan, Facebook's back on Thursday, you said?
Well, Type 40 Live is back on Thursday. I now have 2 channels, everybody, just to confuse you even more. So there's the Spacebook channel, where you will be getting this tomorrow night. So we recorded this last night. It's up on the Spacebook channel tomorrow.
Oh, this is good. I didn't know this. This was. Oh no, this is not what I think it was. Sorry.
Oh, happy birthday to Tom Baker, by the way. 90 years old.
90 years old.
So you're getting this tomorrow on the Facebook channel. This is myself, Bowles Trek, Problem Being, and Nicky P. Smalley and Ian David Diaz. We talk not just about Tom Baker, but about this this possible new Avengers series, the Star Wars furore, and the new Michael Jackson biopic, and all manner of things we get stuck into on that. That's on the Facebook channel, and then on the Type 40 channel this Thursday from 8 p.m. It's we're back with Type 40 live after a 3.5 week break. We all needed the break. And we've all been terribly ill. So it's a bit of a sick note, but we're back on Thursday. Can't wait to get started. Can't wait to begin another year of talking about Doctor Who every Thursday from 8 p.m. there on the Type 40 channel. Like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Thanks, Rabbi.
All that jazz. It's all highly recommended. So go and sub to everybody. Sub to me as well. Subscribe to my Every Women Desire. I think it's going to work out good for you. Fine. With that, I'm going to hit the end broadcast button. I'm going to hit it again and say good night.
Cheers,
good luck.
guys.
Night all.